Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Home of the San Diego Padres, right here on 97.3 The Fan. They play here. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Oh, good morning.
Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, also the Secretary of Homeland Exploration. To my left, good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. I'm excited.
Are you excited to talk about all this today?
No, I'm excited because there's nowhere to go but up.
You say that.
For us. From yesterday's foreplay was so bad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
That I feel like there's nowhere to go but up for today's foreplay.
It's true. And I thought to myself driving in this morning, I love that intro. That is the Jim Morrison melded with Queens of the Stone Age, Better Living Through Chemistry. It always puts me in a good mood. And I was driving in this morning. I go, should I just have Paulie open with taps or something? And then I go, you know what? I said, you know what? No. I like this intro. Our audience likes this intro. We're going to stick with this intro because it's our show. This isn't the Padres show. They don't own this show, despite what, some people may say. It's the other way around. We pay them. They don't pay us. So I'm going to get my kicks in here today, regardless of how crappy and pathetic and disgusting and lazy and tired this baseball team is. I get to come in America's finest city and talk about whatever I want with my friends. Paulie, they don't even deserve it. They don't even deserve it. They don't deserve one
That's
ounce.
An honor for someone.
That's an honor for someone.
Something.
Yeah.
And
then you play tap.
And then, their time has come to an end.
I had the best night's sleep last night. I feel full of energy, and I'm happy to be here this morning because, well, I'm alive. And the other thing that makes me happy is this isn't my fault. I didn't put this team together. I feel great. It's my job to come in and talk about how bad this team is and how poor they're playing and how much they don't deserve the attention that we give them and how much they don't deserve my mental energy on a daily basis. My kids deserve it more. My wife deserves it more. I walked out of that game last night and said, it's like the first time I've watched the game and said, no problem. Bath time? I usually put up a little bit of a fight and say, you're right in the middle of this thing here. I go, you know what? My kids need to be bathed. They need to have a story read to them. I'm going to do that. And I came back in. I go, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. They haven't earned it. They spent money. That's it. But so I said, man, I'm not going to have a miserable show tomorrow. I'm not. I'm going to have a fun time today. And I'm going to try to entertain our audience as best I can because our baseball team certainly isn't entertaining our fans at all. At all. And they don't really care. They don't really care. They don't have time. They don't have time. They don't have time to talk. They don't have time to take accountability. They do have time to pout and kick the dirt and slump their shoulders when a guy gets a base hit. That's what they have time for. They have time to get bodied by the Pittsburgh Pirates, Ben. What were those stats I saw last night? They'd won once in 13 games, pack it in. Pack up your bags, put your bats in, grab your cleats, grab all your stuff, and pack it in. We'd be better off. This city would be better off. We deserve more. And the fans, for which you've jacked up season ticket prices on, they deserve more. I'd be embarrassed. If there were 30 morning shows, 30 in this town, and there might be, but if there were 30 morning shows and I consistently finished 25th to 30, I wouldn't do this job. I'd be like, I don't deserve it. Clearly, I am stealing money. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm over my skis. I have no idea what I'm doing. Every book that comes out, well, you're 25th. Well, you're 27th. Well, you finished this year at 27th, 28th. Find somebody else. I clearly don't know what I'm doing. Why do you keep bringing me back? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do radio. Thank God that's not the case. Thank God that's not the case. We're winning World Series over here on Ben and Woods. So you're not going to spoil my mood today. Yes, I'm fired up and I'm passionate because what I saw last night was the worst thing I've ever seen on a baseball field. Austin Hedges owned you. You should retire and start from scratch. Go find something else to do. All kinds of places by my house are hiring. Little Caesars, I saw they're hiring. Go make pizza because you're not good at baseball.
Pizza.
There's nothing wrong with Little Caesars at all. Go make pizza. You're not good at baseball. Those that run the team are not good at running the team. Our whole life is judged on what? As radio hosts. What is it judged on?
Results.
Ratings, numbers, right? How's this? 554 and 640 in the last 8 years. Average of 73 wins and 88 losses in the last 8 years. 7 years, because you take out the 2020 season that doesn't count. Guys, in a result, what are we going to give it? 2 decades to see this plan through? It's ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. And to watch your guys that you defend out there kicking the dirt around and I got a hit. I'm going to slump my shoulders. It's ridiculous.
Do you want me to respond to that? That was quite the rant for the first 8 minutes of the show here today from Stephen Woods. I disagree.
Weird.
I think Little Caesars pizza is not good at all. I think you're overrating
for the price.
I think you're overrating the Little Caesars pizza.
It's a $5 pizza. What are you expecting?
Well, what are your discount pizza ratings then? If you're going between Little Caesars, Domino's,
this gets me
Papa John's,
charged up.
Pizza Hut. I mean, I'm talking the down and dirty, the national chains.
First of all, be careful. I don't know who's a sponsor. I don't think anybody is. But you never want to piss off a sponsor.
I mean,
now the way a sponsor
to me,
works,
all
by the
pizza.
way,
I'm not saying I would turn down a slice if it was in front of me. I just want to know what's your preference if you had a choice in the. You can't go to your local pizza place. You're across the street. You got to order from a national chain. You're on the road. You're in a town. You've got are those 4 options. Which one are you going to?
Caesars, Domino's,
Pizza Hut, Papa John's.
I'm going Pizza Hut 1.
Pizza Hut 1.
Domino's 2, Caesars 3, and Papa John's a distant 4.
I'm going Domino's,
so good.
Caesars.
Ooh, yeah.
I just don't go to Pizza Hut often.
If it's there, I'll eat the F out of it.
I remember liking it, but I haven't been to Pizza Hut in a long time. But I'll put Pizza Hut 3, and I'm with you. Papa John's is disgusting.
I think I have Papa John's, I think, probably second of those 4. After maybe Domino's, then Pizza Hut, then Little Caesars at the last.
Hannah just said, don't let him drag you into pizza talk at 6:09. My God.
Padres Bod says Little Caesars has a time and a place.
It does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does.
Yes.
Julio has less kind comments about Little Caesars.
Yeah, it's
how his intestines react to it.
J-Man says Papa John's is underrated. Yeah, I've never felt that. I've never, it's never been my jam.
And C313 throws in Costco. That's
delicious.
I don't like Costco's
It's okay.
pizza. I think
it's not delicious. It's okay. It's greasy.
It's greasy and doughy.
Yeah, it's greasy and doughy.
I don't like that combo.
Screams, kid's birthday party. There's going to be a bunch of children here. Let's get a giant Costco pizza cut up in squares.
Yeah. Good call. It's kid's birthday party pizza is what it is. So there you go, man. I'm
J-Dub round table is in a different class for me.
Oh yeah,
that's definitely. I didn't even include it in the others because I feel like it's not in that class. It's in a higher class and it's more expensive than the other ones as well.
So, it absolutely is.
Round
it absolutely
table,
is.
Woodstocks, those are a little bit.
I'm talking discount.
Yeah.
Discount pizza,
like less than $10 a pie.
Yeah, if you get the best deal, you get buy one get one free. You're getting one for $2, whatever.
I'll tell you what.
After the first price one's only like 12.
I'll tell you what's standard though from all of those places. If they venture outside of what's in the name, like if they make wings, maybe the worst wings you could ever have, or from any of those.
It's just like soggy chicken tenders. Chicken, just added sauce at the end.
Disgusting.
Domino's keeps advertising their tot. Is it tots?
I see the tots.
Yeah, I haven't tried
now.
those. I'm skeptical, I must say.
It's something like their whole campaign is like, we tried to mix it up and we'd have fries for delivery, and those don't work. They're all soggy by the time they get to the customer, but we figured it out. Tots
get soggy as F.
I think so too, but I haven't tried them, so
I'll eat a soggy tot though. I will eat a bowl of soggy tots. I do love me some tots.
There's not much better than a crispy tot though.
No, listen. We're gonna obviously get into. Again, I said that Saturday was the worst game I've ever seen, getting shut out by Josiah Gray, and then I said Sunday that was the worst. That's the new low. This is the newest low that I've seen ever. I hated everything I saw from this team.
There was the difference yesterday between yesterday's game and some of the other games in the season. A lot of the other games, you look at a team that should be doing better. Why aren't they doing better? You're scratching your head. Yesterday's team looked like a losing team on the field. The players they put on the field, at least the pitchers they put on the field, that's a losing team. When you're going with 3 of your worst arms just to start the game, it's like you're raising a white flag before you even take the field.
100%.
I know that wasn't Bob Melvin's intention, but it certainly sends that message, I would think, to the rest of the clubhouse that how could this game be as urgent as you're telling us it is?
And you run that out.
You've been telling us we got to turn it around quickly. This is an imperative road trip. And that urgency then has Reese Kinnear and Drew Carlton as the first 2 arms coming out to pitch in a game? Are you telling me that transmits the urgency to your players on the field, who were also, as you said, they were terrible after the second inning? They were terrible too yesterday. But what kind of message are you sending? And I understand Yu Darvish was unavailable through circumstances beyond the control of the San Diego Padres, but they knew that he didn't show up at the ballpark 3 hours before and go,
he's vomiting. I can't make it. I had a sandwich and it went bad.
He didn't fly with the team.
Hey, Reese, how far is El Paso? Okay, it's a 3.5-hour flight.
Get your ass here,
game
buddy.
Starts in 4.5 hours.
You're on the bump.
They knew who they had there. And yes, the options were limited, especially after Steven Wilson went on the injured list before the game. But you still could have gone with Blake Snell. They had the day off, so it wasn't going to be short rest. It would have been regular rest. Instead of starting today, you could have moved everyone up a day and then dealt with the consequences later. Maybe Yu Darvish comes back, slides in, to even out your rotation. Or
quickly to let me rebut that point. As great as Blake Snell has been this year, and especially the last 2 months,
you don't want to mess with him.
Is there one guy in Major League Baseball that would go, dude, no, I'm not prepared for that.
Well, yeah,
he's not the guy that goes,
you told him
I got it.
Yeah, if you told him Tuesday afternoon, no. But if you told him, hey, Sunday, we know you's not getting on this plane and you're going to pitch on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that even Blake Snell, even any major league pitcher given 55 hours of notice
I think he would have been
should
fine.
be able to say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to pitch one day earlier. You give me
He
2.5 days notice before it."
The problem is you shouldn't have to finagle your entire starting rotation for the Pirates.
It's the Pirates. And I think that's what they were doing. I think they looked at it, and I think they underestimated their opponent. And when you come out and you score 3 runs early, let's go to the break. And we have all day to talk about this just giant
epic rant from Woods to start this show, though I think is a good place to begin. We will continue. We'll hear from Adam Jones at 7:35. Bryce Miller, a friend from the Union Tribune, always a good friend of the program. He lit up the Padres in a column about as much as we've seen them lit up in the last couple of years, probably since the end of the 2021 season. And while he didn't call for anyone's job, he certainly laid out a case of what has gone wrong for the Padres, not just this year, but over about a 7-8 year period that coincides with the tenure of one general manager, A.J. Preller. So we'll talk to Bryce Miller at 8:35 about his spicy column in the Union Tribune this morning as well. We'll have some fun, all of our regular features, including our Daily Ditty, which was selected by yesterday's Take on Woods winner. So congratulations, and we'll find out what that is when we come back with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Oh, listener Jim bringing the heat this morning on his daily Diddy selection. He wiped me out yesterday. He only beat me by 1. Still an L. I cannot get this camera right. There we go. You can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com, search Ben and Woods. That is Debaser by the Pixies.
I don't think this. I think we always give the listener the option if they want to follow along with the theme.
Yeah, they don't have
this
to.
week's theme is songs that make you sad, like the Padres do. But I don't think this is. I think this is just. Hey, I like this song.
Kicks ass.
Yeah.
Fine by me. So good. The kings of alternative rock, the Pixies. There they are. That's the gold standard.
Tell me a little more about the Pixies.
The Atlanta.
I just want to delay
the Atlanta Braves, I guess, of alternative rock.
Where are they from? What's their story?
Boston band. Yeah, Frank Black Francis is the singer. Joey Santiago is an insane person. He's in their band.
In a good way or
in a good way?
way?
He looks insane. I've interviewed them. It was my worst interview I've ever done. And I've never been more intimidated in my life. And I asked a really poor question, and they looked at me like I was an alien. But I did get a really cool picture with them. So if my kids go, oh my God, my dad interviewed the Pixies. Yeah, you don't need to know how bad the interview was. I walked out of there sweating almost in tears is how bad I was.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Sure.
Or is there no such thing as a
no such thing as a dumb question?
What makes a band alternative rock versus standard?
Rock.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound all that different when I hear them, what they're playing. I mean, what is the definition of an alternative rock band?
That's actually a really good question.
Okay, good.
So many
subgenres
within rock.
Yeah, and there's genres in everything. There's punk, there's post-punk, there's pop punk, there's all kinds. I mean, grunge is alternative.
Is an alternative subgenre.
Yeah. So I think alternative is, by definition, the alternative to,
like the Ramones were they considered punk?
It's almost like how many rock bands are really out there anymore.
That's the thing. Everybody you start with rock, like a rock band now is Foo Fighters. They're a rock and roll band. And then
but even they fall into like a subcategory.
It's like their first record was alternative.
Right.
Does that make sense? It's very strange, but they have evolved, or some would say devolved, into just the big stadium rock band. The Red Hot Chili Peppers were like funk alternative. Then they've now evolved into a big rock band. I think it's alternative, basically, in my opinion.
And then there's pop.
Yeah, pop is a completely different.
That's completely different.
But there's pop rock as well.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Lemonheads were actually like poppy alternative.
What's Coldplay?
Coldplay is, they're just
alternative?
No, they're just a band. They're a
Maroon
band.
5 is pop.
Maroon 5 is trash.
Dua Lipa is pop.
It's pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga.
Pop.
That's what I would consider.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber.
But what's the
Justin Timberlake?
What's the alternative to the big at the time 4-chord big hair? It was
some
alternative.
Point, though, it feels like everyone's alternative. That then is no longer the alternative.
Correct. That's exactly right.
Rock is the alternative to what everyone else sounds like, which is alternative.
That is exactly right. That's a good question. It's a good question. One I did not have a very clear answer.
Maybe a little more subversive, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know who's a little subversive? He's our friend Jesse Agler, who is the play-by-play voice of the San Diego Padres. He joins us every Tuesday here on Ben and Woods. And after giving us his insight on the team, we give him an Incorporator word, weird vocabulary word that he has to work into that day's game. Yesterday, of course, if you were listening to the program, there was a lot of talk of energy, dark energy. We had our energy healer, Herman, on the program, who attempted to lift whatever curse he thought was on the San Diego Padres.
It's a good start.
Now, he did say, I was the skeptic. He did say it takes about a week or two to actually fully take effect.
Lost 2 pitchers and then got bodied by the Pirates.
Keep that in mind. First of all, let's play the setup. Here's Woods giving Jesse his Incorporator word.
I didn't even know how to pronounce it, so I didn't want to butcher it, so I had Paulie loaded in the old machine here. Jackanapes has no business in a
Jackanapes
in a baseball broadcast. It is a mischievous child. would be described
Wow.
with this word. I've got two
You
jackanapes
get
at home.
You
Two
certainly
little
do.
turd jackanapes at my house.
I love that one because it's a word I didn't know, but I wanted to know. That's a solid, good choice of a word.
Yeah, jackanapes.
Then it was up to Jesse to work it in. Now, as I said, Jesse a little subversive. He also heard our conversation on the air yesterday. Paulie, where in the game did this take place?
This was in the top of the 6th inning.
Okay.
And to give it the proper context, we would have had to play about 5 minutes of that inning. This was actually in the middle of a fairly serious conversation that Jesse and Tony were having. They were talking about comments made by players after the game on Sunday, I believe it was, like Xander Bogaerts, Nelson Cruz, and searching for answers for why this is all happening. And we did find the word jackanapes somewhere in the middle of that.
Now they try for a crooked number as Brandon Dixon stands in. He looks at a cutter for a strike. You think there's an energy issue? That's something that's been brought up
You little turd,
on the
Jesse.
field. Kind of a fine line. Swing and a miss here. You don't want a bunch of guys running around like jackanapes, but you also don't want a bunch of soulless ghouls out there.
I mean, it's a fine line because, obviously energy looks different when you have a lead versus when you're behind.
I mean, a very interesting and important conversation, serious conversation, like you said, Paul. And somehow he whizzes it right past Tony Gwynn
Yeah,
Jr.
just-
Like, I just threw an Incorporator word at you.
Yeah, looked like Rich Hill just firing one past old
You
Dick.
don't want a bunch of guys running around like jackanapes, but you also don't want a bunch of soulless ghouls out there.
It's incredible. I love it. It's like one of the only things that brightens my day as it pertains to
But
this
I
team.
mean,
That
I think
SOB,
he nailed it. The Padres need to be more like jackanapes.
They do. They're mischievous.
Yeah.
You think there's an energy issue? That's something that's been brought up?
Let's
Oh, really?
let's-
Has that been brought up,
yeah.
Jesse?
Has that been brought up? Energy around the team, Jesse. God, he's always taking little digs. I love him so much. Imagine if we had a bad broadcast team on TV and radio and had to watch this team. Holy smokes.
A lot of teams do.
A lot of teams
we're very
do.
lucky.
You're absolutely right, man.
Very lucky.
They
both
make it-
radio and television in this market.
They make it so much more palatable. They really do. It's really bad food. And they make it, you're like, actually, it doesn't look too shabby. Now that Don's serving it to me or Jesse is feeding it to me. And yeah, that was a tough one last night, boys. Let's get into that one next. Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely was a very tough one. And it's really what I've been afraid of. And I'll tell you why. It's what I was afraid of for the last several weeks, actually. And I'll tell you exactly why as we get to our Padres wrap-up. That's coming up next. Again, Adam Jones, 7:35, Bryce Miller, 8:35. All guests appear on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Back with more Ben and Woods on a Wednesday, right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Sour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Cars.com. Whether you're looking for the perfect summer road trip car or something you can zip around in, visit Cars.com today. They have over 2 million cars for your 2 million summer possibilities. Head to Cars.com. Check out the possibilities. Cars.com. Where to next?
Dominic just made a really good point in our chat. I feel like every Incorporator word we've given Jesse, I feel like every Tuesday night we've gotten bodied. I don't think the Incorporator has netted us one win this year, nor did our healing bit yesterday. But like I said, I take great solace.
You thought that about Sundays the last week.
That's
though,
true.
They're 500 on Sundays.
Yeah, 500.
Which is better than they are on every other day of the week combined.
True.
As we know.
I took
let's look at the last few Tuesdays.
yeah, look at some Tuesdays, Paulie. But
there's definitely I mean I got the same feeling. Like
they lost.
He's working in some losses.
They lost
on
last
Tuesdays.
night. They lost last Tuesday in San Francisco.
Recency bias.
They won the Tuesday before that against Cleveland. They lost Tuesday to the Mariners.
1-3.
They won Tuesday in Miami.
2-3.
They won
All right,
Tuesday in Washington.
Recency bias. 3-3.
They lost Tuesday to the Royals.
We don't need to go through the whole season.
I took great solace again in the fact that, yes, we tried something different yesterday. The healing guy, the guy that came on and said he could help us.
Are you not going to continue to maintain faith in your energy healer?
Well, we got cooked a little bit for it, for the healing guy. Then again, I did sleep well at night knowing I'm not the one responsible for putting this on the field. So all I did was we tried to bring positive light to the team, and there was no positivity shining out of Pittsburgh last night. Maybe, by the way, the worst City Connects I've seen as far as the pants.
That was the first time they wore them.
The helmet
debuted their City Connects yesterday.
PGH
on a Tuesday.
is
That's kind of weird.
Short for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think it's like their airport code.
It's okay. I would have gone with PIT.
Yeah, I think PGH though is
okay.
You fly into PGH perhaps.
Pit.
It seems like a weird thing to wear on your clothing.
Better than Pigga. The black pants, guys. It's got to go. You got to go. They got to go.
Black
oh
pants.
my God, never go. They look cool in the 70s. They were talking. Mud and them were talking about it last night. Like the old badass. We are family.
I don't like any other colored
pirates
pants.
No, I don't. I really don't.
Like
white,
all
gray.
red pants would look weird.
No. I'm out.
If the A's where they're all green uniforms, it looks weird.
It looks weird. I digress. I'm sorry.
All right, we will get to our Padres
wrap-up.
Wrap-Up. As I said,
So excited.
This is the game, and you're going to ask me, well, why were you dreading this game in particular for several weeks? But it was. I'll tell you why after we get to the highlights in our Padres Wrap-Up right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Pretty easy ride around the county, guys. We're not showing any real problem spots. Start to see the usual spots. Yeah, westbound side of the 52, its usual struggle out of Santee. The Big O Tires clear ride, westbound 8 from El Cajon all the way through Hotel Circle. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
You can visit Pity City, but you can't live there.
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Hey guys, it's Woodsy live from the Crapper again.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
Oh, God, here we go.
It's the Padres Wrap-Up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamel Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamel Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamel Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
Want to pitch it hard up the middle and into center field, a base hit. They dove at second, couldn't get there. Machado rounding third, he'll score. An RBI single for Gary Sanchez. And the Pods strike first here in Pittsburgh. This is a line drive into center. That'll get down in front of Sawinski. Sanchez has scored. Dixon's on his way. The throw to third, not in time. And a 2-run single for Ha-Sung Kim has made it 3-0 Pods in the second. Now the 1-2 pitch. And that's in the air to left field straight away. Soto's got to go back. Still going back. Squares it up to make the catch. Plenty deep to get Sawinski home from third. Throw into second base. and it got through Kim. Had a shot there to get Castro tagging from first to second, but they don't. It's a sacrifice fly for G1 Bay, now a 3-1 Padre lead here in the second. Kinnear deals, and a pitch hit in the air to right field. Tatis backing up, still going back in front of the big wall in right. Looks up, this one is off the wall. First major league hit for Gonzalez. He's rounding second on his way to third as Castro comes in to score. It's a triple and a one-run game. 1-0 pitch on the way. McCutchen strokes it into left field. That's a base hit. That'll tie the game. Gonzalez in from third base to score. And the Pirates have come all the way back here in the bottom of the second inning. It's 3-3. Here's the 3-2. Sawinski hits it in the air to deep right field. Fernando back. He's into the gap. Looking up. This one gonna go. Back-to-back home runs as Sawinski snaps in 0 for 29. And the Pirates now lead 5-3. Hedges at third, not as much, and a line drive into right field. Fernando charging, has to play it on a hop. Hedges went back to third base, but the throw goes to second. Hedges comes in to score, and it's 6-3 Pittsburgh. Now the 3-0 pitch. Santana winds up, sends one towards the left center field gap. Charging in, Soto won't get there. Great read by McCutchen. He's going to come in as the throw is not in time to the plate. Throw to second, also not in time. 7-4 Pirates on an RBI single for Carlos Santana. His third hit of the night. 2-1 to Soto, hit in the air to left. Palacios back towards the corner, running out of room in front of the fence, jumps up and he made the catch. Might have taken a home run away even after overrunning it. He got to the corner, had to jump, reach back to his left, and he made the catch. 2-2 to Gonzalez, and that's sent in the air straightaway center field and deep. Long run, Grisham, who was shallow. He will look up. This one gonna go into the topiary in center field. Nick Gonzalez, first major league home run, and it's 9-4 Pirates in the seventh. The payoff pitch, and Fernando hits it on the ground to shortstop. Big hop for Marcano. Throw to first in time, and that's all for this ballgame. The Pirates pummel and plunder the Pods here tonight. A 9-4 win for Pittsburgh in game one of this three-game series.
You know, we scored 3 runs, had some good momentum. You give up 3, but that shouldn't be it. You know, they come back with a couple and then just seemed like they had a little bit more spirit the rest of the game than we did. So, you know, when you start somebody that's going to give you limited pitches, you might give up some runs. We have to know offensively we have to do a little bit more than just score 3 runs in the second inning.
Yeah, the Pirates, according to Bob Melvin, had a little bit more spirit than the Padres. And if you ever listen to Major League Baseball managers talk, you would know that that's actually a fairly scathing critique of your own team. You can't say much more than that when you're a manager. Yeah, I mean, you know, you reserve the raking of over the coals in a public setting for the absolute most dire of emergency. But
I would say this is getting. We're there, right?
So here's my theme here as we break down that ugly loss. Circumstances do matter in baseball.
Yes,
they matter a lot, actually. For instance, had the Padres been cruising along, having the season we expected or close to it, yesterday's game, you shrug off and you go,
100%.
You know what? Yu Darvish was sick. Padres didn't want to mess with a good thing. They threw the back of their bullpen, hoping they could beat a team. Didn't work out. Not going to lose any sleep over Reese Kinnear getting lit up. He's not really a big league pitcher. You didn't use any of your high leverage arms. These games happen.
Yeah, you have to have those
teams,
games.
To bad teams alike. You have these games over the course of 162, and you shrug it off, and you come back the next day, and you go like, that game doesn't even matter. It's just a blip. Every team is going to lose their share of games, and that was just one of them. Unfortunately, the Padres have not been cruising along like we've expected. They've put themselves in a position where they need to play with more urgency. They've said it themselves. I'm not setting that expectation. It's not the media. It's not the fans. You know, it's not because we told them they have to win. They said it themselves that we need to go 10-5 going into the All-Star break. They said that themselves. And yet you go out and, yeah, I get it. You don't have Yu Darvish. To choose, though, Reese Kinnear as the person to set the tone in your game, to me, is an indictment of a couple of things. First of all, you're not showing the right kind of urgency that you're preaching to your team. Secondly, you're also showing that your roster construction is woefully lacking on the back end. It's lacking on the bench, and it's lacking in the bullpen on the backside, that the Padres don't have any options to dig down in their 40-man roster at AAA. They have no one better to pull up. The best guy they had was Matt Waldron. He did okay. They used him a couple of days ago. They didn't have anyone else that you could feel even remotely good about in pitching that game yesterday. To me, if you want to show some urgency, throw someone a little higher leverage.
Nick Martinez starts that
game.
Nick
Martinez, and you deal with the 8th inning, when you get there. Hopefully you're in the game or you've got a lead at that point and you worry about it then. I love that idea of Nick Martinez or Tim Hill, however you like the matchups, but you go with someone you can at least trust a little bit to start that game.
Go with someone that's not going to walk Austin Hedges on 4 pitches. 4. I don't want to come in here and bash Reese Kinnear. It's not his fault. It's not his fault.
And if the Padres, and whether it's Bob Melvin or the front office, they were committed to keeping Blake Snell on his 5 days of rest, keeping Joe Musgrove on his 5 days of rest, and being conservative with the starting pitching, it's been their strategy, and they want to stick with it. I still think Nick Martinez, give him 2-3 innings, whatever he's got, and hopefully, you get the 3-0 lead. Then you hold on to it. Maybe that's a completely different game. But you can't start falling behind. You know how bad your team is when you fall behind. And maybe they thought, we got Reese Kinnear got through the first inning. We got a 3-0 lead. We just rolled, boxcars.
Yep.
We just threw it and we took a chance and it won. And then when he came out and walked the first batter after taking a 3-0 lead, my stomach sank again. I mean, we've seen it before. I knew bad things were about to happen. He lost it from that point on. He was terrible from that moment when he took a pitch clock violation somehow to start the inning, walked a guy on 3 balls, and it was over at that point. That game was over essentially from that moment on. You're not showing the kind of urgency that you're preaching publicly, that you're telling the media, you're telling the fans, you're telling each other that these games are important, but your decisions and actions seem to tell us the opposite.
Oh, I mean, and not to be crass, but screw what you're telling us. You're certainly not showing us any urgency at all. And God, I hate being this guy right now. I hate it so much. Being body language expert guy. But man, you saw a knock to left field. Soto charges it, throws home inexplicably.
That's not body language.
No.
That's bad baseball.
No.
Yeah.
But you didn't let me finish.
All right.
Xander Bogaerts looked like somebody shot him. He was slumped down. I have a screenshot of it. He slumped down like it's the end of the world. Bro, watching him ground into double plays, watching him strike out, watching him pimp a double that should have been a triple is just such a hard watch for me. Boston didn't watch him, man. They didn't. And if they did, you'd still be there. You're here now, and you got 280 in the bank. You got 2 rings. You're the only one really on that team with any success. I know you're new, but you have to lead by example. And he's not the only one. He's just the one today. I've got it's a base hit. And he was like, ugh. He's also the one that said in the media, when we get down a run, it's over. I'm like, what? You said that? While I appreciate the candor, I certainly hate that attitude. Kind of nice to hear a guy speak his mind, but holy crap, you're telling me the San Diego Padres, with all that money spent and all that talent, Ben, are out of a game when they're down 1 run, and that's what their 2-time hard-ass Boston badass is telling everybody? Yeah, we get down 1, we're done. What? Well, that can't be. Fix it. Manny's got to play better. Manny not talking to the media last night, saying he doesn't have time. I get it. I get as frustrated as the next guy. Believe me, it just can't happen. Accountability matters. It does. And we laud Trevor Hoffman after blowing a save. First guy at his locker. That's a different mentality. Guys, if you're not going to do it on the field, you at least have to do the dance, right? You have to do the dance. You have to tell people that it's going to turn around. We are going to get better. We're playing like ass, myself included. I'm going to be better. You have to do it. It comes with the territory. Now, I've never been a big leaguer. I ought to ask a big leaguer at 735. Does that come with the territory? Or are you just show up and try to do your job and go home? Because if that's the case, tell me I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But in the way I look at it, I don't have time. What if every Padre fan said, I don't have time to go to the game? No, I'm not going to come out and root for you guys. I don't have time.
I'm mixed on that. I mean, does Manny mumbling a couple of answers that don't mean anything fix the season?
No,
they don't.
It doesn't fix it, Ben.
Doesn't really
but perception
bother me that much.
But perception. Somebody told me this years ago, and it stuck with me. And I don't know if it's true or not, but boy, did it stick with me. Perception is reality. Perception is reality. If you are perceived as a loser, if you're perceived as a malcontent, guess what? That's what you are. That's what people are going to take you for. Him standing in his locker for 5 minutes going, I'm also at a loss. This sucks. I hate this. We're going to turn it around, man. You know, you don't give me the look at our cards and what we've done. What you've done in the past doesn't matter. It's like we could have a great show yesterday. Well, you know what we have to do today? We have to have a great show. It doesn't matter. Well, look what we did on Monday. We kicked ass on Monday. Yeah, but it's Thursday. Nobody cares about what happened years ago. There is no, I don't know what it is. I don't know where the disconnect is, but scoring 3 runs, taking your foot off the gas against a very bad baseball team, getting upset when they come back and tie the game, slumping your shoulders when a guy throws to the wrong base. And Juan, you need to throw to the right base. I mean, we now know why Andy Green had this team out doing, cutoff drills in September years ago. It's different guys, but the mentality's the same.
In September, dude.
Right. None of you have won anything here. Nobody's won a thing. Not one. There's not one ring amongst you. Until that day happens, you don't get a lot of leeway, in my opinion, for lazy, poor play. You haven't won anything. And just because you spent the most money or the second most money or whatever, doesn't mean you will. You actually got to play through these things, man. You do. And to be 5 games below 500, 7.5 out of a wild card now is as dire.
You know what? I didn't,
as it's been.
I'm not even looking anymore at the standings.
No.
It's not relevant to the San Diego Padres. If they can't play better baseball,
it
doesn't matter what other teams are doing. Every team in the NL West won last night above them. All the wild card chasers are playing pretty well right now. The Padres are just digging themselves a hole that is probably going to be impossible to climb
looking
out
at the
of.
scoreboard and the standings again when you get to 500.
Right, get to 500.
Like
you have to win 5 in a row, Paulie. You
Right.
get to 500.
I still haven't told you exactly why yesterday's game was the one I've been dreading. So we'll get to that coming up.
We need to hit the voicemail line, gentlemen.
And take on Woods, all
Good.
coming up.
No,
I'm
it's
intrigued.
not good.
Oh, it's bad.
Oh, good.
Next on 97.3 The Fan. Sauer 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Smart and Final. Smart and Final's got your whole 4th of July cookout, from snacks to burgers to drinks and more, at prices that are worth celebrating. Get it all in one trip, and that's it. So this is why yesterday's game was the one that I was kind of holding my breath and hoping I wouldn't see. We all knew, Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan, we all knew that the Padres wouldn't continue to lose games that they should win all season long.
Correct.
That wasn't going to continue. And I think most of us optimistically, hopefully, maybe even logically assumed that when it turned, it would turn in the Padres' favor. All right, now they're finally getting those big hits. Now they are winning those games. They were so close for so long. They are finally getting it over the hump. That's fine. That's how I thought for very long. But in the back of my mind, the seed of doubt, as it were, Woodsy, I always knew that there was always a second option, that the Padres could go in a different direction. That instead of just missing and just coming up short and being one hit away from winning, you could come to a point in the season where all of a sudden maybe there's an injury or two, maybe guys start going into another prolonged slump, and instead of losing close games, you actually start getting bodied and going the other way.
And getting bodied by really bad
and losing
teams.
heart and going in the wrong direction. We saw it in 2021, and it's been something that's been in the back of my mind going, I think that this is going to turn, and it's going to turn in the way that we hope it turns. But there's a chance it turns the other way as well.
Wow, there's a decent few games to look at. Now, they didn't get bodied on Saturday, but you might as well have. You might as well have when you strike out 6 straight.
I think all 3 of these games are a horrible sign.
Oh, yeah.
That the Padres are, instead of, making that last tiny step that they needed, they've taken a step in the wrong direction that puts them even further away from where they wanted to be.
It's changed our narrative, certainly. Yeah, that narrative has to have changed. Just like 6 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, you said expectations need to change. Slam the button. The button is now changed from let's win the division. Now it's please God make a wild card, and then now it's get to 500.
I think Paulie has on the rundown here. Are you feeling like the season is slipping away? I don't think that's the right question. I think if you have a brain and you are a baseball watcher, they're already sliding. They've hit the banana peel, and they're sliding away. I think the question now is, what is it that you'd need to see to regain your faith in the Padres? Because there is time to regain faith that you've lost in the team. But we've all lost the faith in the team that we thought this was going to be.
Oh,
right?
that ship is so far down the road. The road. What is a ship on the road? If it's on a trailer, and you're driving it.
Those duck boats.
Yes.
That they have with wheels that drive.
Yeah, it's like me saying,
drive right into the water.
That car has sailed.
Sailed away.
I mean, even a Ryan Cohen, the most optimistic and positive of Padres fans, can't ignore the reality.
My man texted me last night
that this season has essentially slipped a big time. Now, whether it's slipped completely away or not, I don't know. We're not even to the halfway point. I would, unless you're the Oakland A's or the Kansas City Royals, and you have 20 or 22 wins right now, I'm not sure the season has slipped away for any team in Major League Baseball. But what we thought the season was going to be, maybe 100+ wins, division title, that slipped away. Everything else, I don't know. But my question now is, and we can discuss this going forward, what is it that you are looking for from these San Diego Padres to regain your faith in the team? It's not winning 3 games in a row. That's not going to do it.
No.
I mean, how long do they have to play consistent good baseball? Do they need to streak off an 8? I mean, yeah. Is it? Are you not going to believe them until September? Like, okay, well, they've been playing really good, and
playing
July and
playing
August, and
here
they are right in the midst of a wild card race. Do they have to get that close? if they get to 500 at some point, if they win 5 of their next 6 games or 6 of their next 7 games and get to 500, is that going to restore some of your faith and, get you to believe again? I wonder what it's going to take.
Change, go from sellers to buyers at the trade deadline.
That will change your faith.
That's probably the first big milestone is the trade deadline.
You know how when you're watching a football game and a team gets the ball with 1:30 left and maybe they're down a couple of scores and they march down the field and they score, whether it's a field goal, whether it's a touchdown, whatever, and they punch one in. And if you're a fan of that team, you go, that's what I'm talking about. Halftime, reassess, but at least we got something going into the second half. So we are approaching halftime for the San Diego Padres in their season. The All-Star break will be halftime for this team. You got to show me something. You got to get it. You got to fire one in, and you got to put one in the end zone for me. And how many games left until the break?
I believe there are 11 games.
You got to win.
Break.
You got to win 8 of them. You got to win 8 of them. You have to march into.
Is that enough though to regain faith in the season in this team? I don't know.
You're gonna lower my blood pressure a little bit.
It'll certainly feel good if they're back to 500. 8-3 would get them back to 500. I don't want, but I'm not ready.
But you have to set they're not ready for your lofty 90-day plan. They're not. The plan.
I'm not ready for I'm not ready for an 11-day plan.
No
right
kidding.
Now.
Their plan has to win. They have to win tonight's game. They have to win tonight's game. Tonight is a must-win baseball game in late June.
I would have said maybe last night was a must-win baseball game, though.
Me and you both.
You can't just call every game must-win for the rest of the season.
Nope. But to get back to 500 is the watermark. You got to get to 500, man. You have to, or to have any sort of chance.
All right, Paulie, I know you got a voicemail. We need a contestant for Take on Woods, 833-288-0973. How long is this voicemail that you want to play us?
About a minute.
About a minute? All right. So do we need a setup or anything?
No setup. Our buddy Foster called in last night. He was very upset.
Hillbilly.
After the game. But Foster left a voicemail. He said, hey, you might need to do some editing. I said, thanks, Chief. Here's Foster.
Hey, y'all. It's your old hillbilly Foster calling in.
Foster.
Oh, no.
He's doing bits.
I didn't think you could make my day worse.
It sounds like you doing Foster.
Go ahead. More.
Hey, y'all. It's your old hillbilly Foster calling in. Ben, Woods, Paulie, down there, Woodsy. I'm sitting on the crapper. That's about how I feel about this team right now, just like y'all. But I don't understand after all this. I mean, the Pirates have lost 12 out of 13 games.
Yep.
And
That's right.
Bodius, I don't blame Bomel. But when is somebody's head going to be on the chopping block here? I mean, come on. Preller, Flaherty, Christensen, Bernard, Coolbaugh, somebody's got to lay on a sword for this. This is not okay. And this ostrich that we're doing.
Bernard's in Detroit.
Put our head to the ground like everything is okay. Oh, it's going to get better. It's going to be fine. We're going to start hitting this bullshit. We got to do something. Somebody's head's got to be on the anvil at this point. This ain't okay. We got to change something. Shake something up. Get pissed. This team, we can punch in the mouth. We crawl in a freaking quarter like nothing's going on. We've got to fight back. Show some freaking fight. Get pissed off. Have another blowout in the dugout with Tatis Machado. That's better. What we're doing now, we're scared little. It's wrong. Anyway, love y'all. Bye.
Don't do the voice that I do for you. He makes some good points, though. I will say he does make some good points.
He's not totally wrong.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah, that's totally wrong.
That's totally wrong.
Firing someone is generally the response when a team is struggling, whether it's a manager or a coach or someone else. However, firing someone who doesn't deserve it, who isn't the cause of the problem, rarely is the solution for the problem either.
Wait, why?
Like a lot of people think Bob Melvin should be fired. I disagree 100%. I don't think this is on Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin's been a really good manager for 20 years, 3-time manager of the year. He didn't forget how to manage.
Leave it to us to mess that up
in baseball this year. I don't think Bob Melvin's the problem. Now, if he gets fired, is it possible that shakes people up enough that maybe the Padres start playing better? It is. But does anyone feel good about firing the guy who it wasn't his fault?
I don't.
Does that make you feel good in the clubhouse? I mean, maybe you make guys feel bad enough. Hey, we got this guy fired. He didn't deserve it. We all liked him. We thought he was doing a good job, and we were playing so bad he got fired. I don't know that that's ever the right decision to fire a good baseball person who probably is going to help you at some point get out of this and play better. He did last year when the Padres were in a rut in August, and it looked like they weren't going anywhere. I think Bob Melvin absolutely helped them get out of it, get to the playoffs, and get to the National League Championship Series. You're telling me there's someone out there who's better than Bob Melvin?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know that just saying, all right, today we're spinning the wheel of termination, and someone's getting fired. But Mike Berdar, I'm sorry, we're firing you, even though you work for the Detroit Tigers.
Things have gone so bad here in San Diego.
We're firing other teams hitting coaches.
Tigers hitting coaches.
I think Foster got into the old Jameson last night.
All right,
which I don't begrudge him that. Everyone, if I didn't have to get up at 4:00 in the morning, I would have been dipping into the old Jameson as well.
Feel free to always leave a voicemail though at 619-798-4892. That's the number. The 24 hours a day you can reach Ben and Woods and leave something you'll regret in the morning at 619-798-4892. I think we got a contestant on the line. Let's get to it. Let's play Take on Woods. All right, down to our last couple of games this month to try to qualify listeners for a trip to Las Vegas. We got Albert on the line. And Albert, you calling in to play Take on Woods?
Yes, sir.
You are the guy. Congratulations. All right, you're going to go head-to-head against Woods in a 5-question musical trivia challenge. If you can beat or tie him, happened yesterday, you will qualify for our grand prize drawing of a 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas and 2 tickets to see 5-time Entertainer of the Year Luke Bryan on the Resorts World Theater stage August 30th to September 9th. Tickets and VIP packages on sale now at access.com. That's AXS.com and RWLasVegas.com. Here are the categories, Albert. We got Lie, Cheat, or Steal back. Songs and artists that include one of those 3 words. This category, again, song titles that end in the word again. And our new category, Life in the City. That's a little different. We're going to give you an artist and some city titles. You have to tell me the song from that artist in which all of those cities appear. So, Lie, Cheat, or Steal. This category, again, or Life in the City. Albert, what's it going to be?
Yep. Gamble on this one. Let's do the city-related one.
All right, Life in the City. Paulie, no need for a 2-second song. This
All right,
one's a little different today. Today on Take on Woods, Albert, I'm going to give you an artist and 4 or 5 cities that appear in one of their famous songs.
All the cities in the same song.
They're all in the same song. All you have to do is give me the song title that includes all of those cities. So I give you the artist and the cities. You give me the song title. You got that, Albert?
Gotcha.
All right, here we go. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when I give you the first artist. Good luck, Albert. Let's take on Woods. The Beach Boys, Del Mar, Pacific Palisades, Redondo Beach, La Jolla. Martha and the Vandellas, Chicago, New Orleans, New York City, Philadelphia, PA.
Philadelphia, PA.
What's the name of the song? Pass. All right. Steve Miller Band. Phoenix, Arizona, Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA.
Oh, my goodness. I'm taking like the Padres pass.
Johnny Cash, Winnemucca, Texarkana, Tallapoosa, Oskaloosa.
Goodness, pass.
Various artists. Flagstaff, Arizona, Kingman, Barstow, San Bernardino.
Oh, my goodness. What a tank job, man. I passed.
You had one yesterday. Beach Boys, come on. Del Mar, Pacific Palisades, Redondo Beach. Oh, man, that's two in a row. He took a chance, different kind of category, didn't pay off for him. Albert, sorry. Let's. I'll hold on to it. Let's bring Woods in, and we'll give you the answers afterwards, unless Woodsy gets them all here. All right, Woods, your turn. A little different today. I have to explain it how it works. All right, so today on Take on Woods, I'm going to give you an artist, and I'm going to give you 4 or 5 city names that appear in one of their famous songs. You just have to give me the song title that goes with that. All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Time begins when I give you the first artist. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Albert. The Beach Boys, Del Mar, Pacific Palisades, Redondo Beach, La Jolla.
Surf and Safari.
Incorrect. Martha and the Vandellas, Chicago, New Orleans, New York City, Philadelphia, PA.
Dancing in the Streets.
Correct. Steve Miller Band, Phoenix, Arizona, Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA.
With the girls. Rockin'
Correct.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash, Winnemucca, Texarkana, Tallapoosa, Oskaloosa.
I've been everywhere.
Correct. Various artists. Flagstaff, Arizona, Kingman, Barstow, San Bernardino.
Route 66.
Correct.
And the first one was freaking
Surfing
USA.
Surfing Safari, but you got the rest of them in an easy win.
Thank you.
Albert didn't get any right, so congratulations, Woods, on Life in the City. Was that one?
Life in the City.
That was a different one. That was a tougher one.
I like that one.
You handled it quite well. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Don't Do This is coming up next. I don't know whether I just want to keep talking about the Padres.
I do, actually.
That would be a don't do.
Or
this.
we can talk about 2 horrific tragedies in sports yesterday.
Pass.
There's really no positive direction to go on that story one way or the other, but we'll go one of those ways when we come back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, just sad stories.
I can't even make it. Don't do this. Two just horrifically tragic stories in sports yesterday. Woodsy, had the drowning death of former NFL and Arkansas quarterback Ryan Mallett.
Oh, man, rest easy, kid. That's awful.
35 years old.
Just swimming in the Gulf of Mexico near Destin, Florida. A group of people swimming near a sandbar, struggling to make their way back to the shore. Mallett not breathing when he was pulled out of the water and was pronounced dead at a local hospital. Seen a lot of his ex-teammates and, seemed like was a well-liked guy. Was one time thought to be the heir apparent to Tom Brady in New England when people thought maybe Tom Brady would have a normal kind of career, 33 years old. Well, Brady must be almost done, so it's time to find someone else. Maybe it's Ryan Mallett. No, he still had another decade to go. And then unbelievably sad story, El Cajon's Jimmy Johnson.
Are we doing don't do
this?
Yeah, I guess we're not
doing
don't do this.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a don't. I don't want to call it a don't do this, but his wife's mother-in-law is reportedly shot and killed her husband and their grandchild, Jimmy's nephew, and then killed herself in Oklahoma yesterday. Johnson has pulled out of this week's race that he was going to participate in to be with his family, and sympathy certainly goes out to Johnson and his wife, Chandra, who have talked to him many times at events here in San Diego. Just a couple of horrific stories, Woods, but nothing that you'd call a don't do this. That's usually more of a lighthearted sort of don't do this sort of thing. And those were just
too sad, really
so
sad.
So sad.
It's going to be a tough transition.
All right, ready? Just make a pause. Remember, you told me
pause.
You can pause,
dead
air, and
then
transition to a different topic.
So it's time for the prep service bit of the day.
No. Let's talk Padres. Why not?
Continue to talk Padres.
Yep.
Yesterday's game, would you agree with the statement that the Padres looked lifeless on offense? Outside of the second inning when they scored the 3 runs, things looked pretty good at that point. But after that, a lot of GIDP, a lot of 1, 2, 3 innings, just, not much going. Had the great catch by Palacios robbing Soto, but it wasn't
better
like
ones you'll see.
It wasn't like Soto crushed that ball. Right. It was a 330-foot flyout. Just where it ended up a spectacular catch by the Pirates left fielder. Padres ended up getting 11 hits. Is more than they usually get.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how that felt like a more lifeless game than some others, even though they actually did get some base hits against Rich Hill. It felt like they could have knocked Rich Hill out big time.
There's no foot on the gas. There's no foot on the throat whatsoever. You got your 3 runs and went into cruise control again. And again, really deflated looks by the guys when Kinnear gives up those runs. It's not Reese Kinnear's fault, man. It's not. It's not his fault. He does not. Nice enough kid, I'm sure. He does not have the stuff meant to be a big league spot starter. And really, they're using him in the minors as more of a, kind of a stopgap guy. Not built up. He's going to give you 50 pitches anyway. Certainly did not make the most of his opportunity yesterday, but really hasn't all year. Again, not his fault. It falls on the person that built the team. You see it around baseball right now. There are all of the teams. Like, give me a team. The Texas Rangers, great season. Off to a great start. Have been ravaged by injuries for starting pitching, bullpen. Jacob deGrom, that's a big one, I'd say.
How about the Giants?
The Giants, I don't know their
ton of pitching injuries.
Oh yeah, they've had
a
ton too. The
Dodgers have had injuries.
Tons of starters go down. They've brought up a ton of guys to help fill those roles. Tampa Bay, Glass now, just now kind of getting back. McClanahan's down. Fairbanks was out for a while. Again, these teams are able to withstand the punches that are thrown their way. Atlanta lost some guys in the pen. Arizona lost
Max Fried.
Yeah, Max Fried.
Out.
Yep. Manaply went down for a while for Arizona. All of these teams are saying, okay, yes, it sucks to lose a Max Fried from your team. It sucks to lose a Jacob deGrom from your team. It sucks to lose. There's 1,000 examples of teams that have been, hit hard. A Pete Fairbanks, a Shane McClanahan, a Tyler Glass now. when you're rich with talent in your system, you're good. You're good. That's what it's there for. It's there in case of emergency. And when we break the glass, we got Reese Kinnear. We got, Jay Groom was really, really promising in spring training, and he's got the highest ERA of anybody on the team, I think.
I mean, the decision to let go of Julio Teheran, while understandable at the time, he had a major league out and they weren't ready to bring him up at the end of April. Things were going well with the pitching staff. Seems like that may have been short-sighted as well. He's come up for the Milwaukee Brewers and pitched with under 2 ERA.
He had a rough night last night.
Yeah, he had his first bad night last night, but he's been an arm. You would have absolutely 100 times over rather seen Julio Teheran on the mound yesterday rather than Reese Kinnear getting that start, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've got teams like Miami who are getting the job done without a starting pitcher, essentially like Sandy Alcantara. I mean, I know they won yesterday, but Sandy has not pitched well. I think he had like a 6 ERA going into that game, which is absurd. Still finding ways to get it done. All of these teams that are at the top are finding ways to get the job done. Injuries be damned, right? When the Padres, I saw people, I think for good reason, lose your mind a little bit yesterday when you see Steven Wilson go down with a strained pec. You go, well, we're toast. What does that mean now? If we're fairly close in the 7th, who pitches? Is it Garcia? Is it Martinez for 2 to get to Hader? What is it? What does it look like? So we're thin. We're as thin as can be. And
they were thin even before the injuries.
They were.
And
yeah.
Now, you were counting on Suarez. You were hoping on Pomeranz, counting on Wilson. Now you've got 3 of potentially your 4 best arms aren't there. You're down, as you said, Nick Martinez and Tim Hill, who's been pretty good, but he can blow it up every once in a while, like we saw the other day.
And again,
and after that, you really feel dicey about anyone they bring in.
No question. You're a wreck. You're on pins and needles watching Honeywell pitch. You're on, Drew Carlton again. It's not on him.
Cosgrove was good. He's hurt too. So the lack of bullpen depth
is brutal.
And I tweeted yesterday that the Padres' biggest issue is their lack of bullpen depth. I should have said roster issue, because obviously their biggest issue has been not hitting with runners in scoring position and overall the lack of offense. I don't think that their lineup is their biggest weakness on the roster, though. When you see guys like Tatis and Soto and Machado and Bogarts,
on paper it should work.
On paper, that's not your biggest. Your biggest weakness has always been the back of your bullpen, and now it's been exacerbated by the loss of Steven Wilson and Robert Suarez and Tom Cosgrove, who we didn't even know of at the beginning of the season, but love to have him right now if they could. But they didn't lose that game because of the back end of the bullpen.
No.
They lost it. Starting pitching depth as well hurt them. So many reasons. Tough. And it's all go back to the construction of the team.
Yeah, and again, had this team hit like they were supposed to, wouldn't be having any of these problems or issues.
True.
And now you're looking at...
I mean, if I'm behind closed doors and I'm AJ, I'm going, the idea of this team was that the superstars would carry us.
Correct.
I knew that, we gave up a little depth, but don't you give up a little depth to have that kind of firepower in your lineup, the ability to put up 12 runs on any single day and just clobber the opposition into submission so often that who cares every once in a while if the back end of your bullpen, all right,
serves it up.
We won 5 in a row. We couldn't get that 6th one because the back end of our bullpen give it up. You don't care when you're winning that much and your team's going that well. What they never counted on was the Stars not performing the way they have. Nope. All right, we'll come back. Adam Jones, you've got an interesting question for AJ about accountability and answering questions after ugly losses and whether that's part of the job or not for a Major League Baseball player. Get to 5-time All-Star with Ben and Woods when we come back on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Oh, looking forward to this. Coming up momentarily, getting the Zoom set up. Remember when Yanni was live from the Acropolis?
No.
In Athens? No, you don't. Of course not.
How would I?
We're going to have live from Athens, Greece. Adam Jones joining us.
He's in Greece right now?
He's in Greece.
That's right.
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by California Coast Credit Union. Get a 4.48% APR auto loan at California Coast Credit Union with no payments for 90 days. Offer valid with CalCoast car buying service discount. Interest accrues immediately. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Visit calcocu.org and we'll
He's
chat.
already sent the picture while he's on hold. Stogie in hand.
I love it. He just rubs it in.
The Greek coastline in the background.
Must be nice.
Get to AJ right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Oh, he may have California love. He's just never here.
Never.
As we go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline halfway across the world again, this time from lovely Athens, Greece. Adam Jones joining us here on 97.3 The Fan. How's the Greek life?
The Greek life is amazing. I've had so many kebabs and so many things I can't even pronounce correctly. They end in I and is.
Yeah,
but it's an amazing.
Tzatziki and souvlaki and
yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
I don't want to say it correctly, but incorrectly, but I'm eating all of it.
Good, man. Well, it looks like you're having a great time. Looks like you had a great time in London as well for that series. I saw some pictures of you and your kids with like a foot long something. It was no, not a foot long. It was like 3 feet long. What was that?
It was 2 feet.
2 feet.
So we did, they asked me to do the food test and I'm like, sure. So it was a raspberry donut burger, which was, 1 bite is great. 2 to 3 leads to, heart arrhythmias. The hot dog was Italian. It was a sausage. It was 2 feet. So I'm like, okay, with chili cheese, chives and all this stuff on it. I'm like, look, I can take 1 bite, maybe 2. I'm not trying to run to the bathroom while CC's trying to talk to me. The commissioner might be asking me a question. Bill Murray might be asking me a question, and I got the bubble guts. I don't want to have this. Let me just take 1. I took a second because I'm a moron and I'm fat on the inside. So it was good. My sons loved it. It was a great experience. But, hopefully one day we get a food show and talk about food because I explained everything so eloquently.
So let me get this straight. You went to London for baseball and you ended up at the Del Mar Fair. That's what it sounds
Pretty
like.
much. Yeah, that's 100%. That is Del Mar Fair food to the T. Oh my goodness, it might even be the Mission Bay Park Fair.
Oh yes. It's it looked like something. It was something watching you guys hold that thing. I wanted to ask you though, AJ. So, former big leaguer, 5-time All-Star, very well respected career. What is your take on accountability with the media? Like after when your team is essentially circling the drain and you get bodied by some inferior teams and you have championship aspirations, what is your theory on standing at your locker answering questions?
Well, I mean, there's always, I always be like, look at, hey, I'm the leader of the team. I'm always be at my locker. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't want to answer the questions. I know the questions you're going to ask. I know, I'm going to try my hardest not to cuss you out while I'm answering the questions because we're all frustrated. But no, to me, it's always the top guys of the team. It's always the top few pitchers. It's always the top few relievers. It's always the top position players. It's just how it goes. If you're making top dollar, you have to answer the questions. It's just how it goes. If you made a big mistake in the game, a big play happened and you were a part of the play, it's how it goes. Trust me. And there's other times where, you want to get out of there because you're just frustrated and you don't want to, you don't want to have one of those Hal McRae, Bobby Bonilla, make your move moments. There's times when you don't want to do that, so I understand when guys get out the clubhouse just to get the frustration, maybe scream in the car on the way home and not have to do it in the media and all that kind of stuff, and then maybe address it the next day. But for the most part, when you're struggling and you're going through the bad stretches, the big guys have to talk, because the big guys talk when you're going good. You have to take the good with the bad, unfortunately. So whenever things going bad, I remember I was in Seattle, we weren't that good in 06, and I'm sitting in my locker excited to be in the big leagues, but all the big guys left, and they sitting me asking me questions as a 20-year-old. Hey, so how was it feeling when you guys lost this game? I'm like, I didn't have anything to do with it. I had to go get Jose again coffee. What are you talking about? So it's like, in tough games, I don't want to hear from, I don't want to hear from a Zokar. I don't want to hear from the younger guys. You know what I mean? I want to hear from the big boys, because that's just how the business is.
Yeah, you have to say stuff, but you also have to not say stuff at the same time, because you got to be wary of the ears within your own locker room, and you don't want to cause more problems by saying the wrong thing. Correct, Adam?
Oh, 100%. And that's what I think it's frustrating. If pitchers aren't hitting their spots, if the position players aren't hitting, it's frustrating. It's easy to point fingers. That's the easiest thing to do, I think, in life, is just to point finger at somebody else if they're not doing something. But the hardest thing is to look at yourself and be like, hey, I'm the one struggling. I need to clean it up. We're struggling. We need to clean it up. That's why teams are good. That's why teams are able to overcome hardships, because they understand, hey, nobody's going to help us. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us. The Dodgers don't feel sorry for you. The Giants don't, and the Diamondbacks sure as hell don't. They're excited to have wins. So you got to pick yourself up and be like, hey, we're here in the big leagues. We got a good team. Now we have to execute. Because I've seen the stat, the Padres over the last month, 2 months, have had arguably the best pitching staff. But right now, they're not hitting with men in scoring position. I always say, hitting with men in scoring position, execution is a very, very hard thing. If you can create the opportunity, I'm happy with it. I can be happy with the creating opportunities. Like, I know it's frustrating when you go 2 for 12 with men in scoring position, but you had 12 opportunities. Take the positive out of it and just like, hey, let's get back after it. Let's concentrate a little bit harder, a little bit deeper. It's frustrating. I'm not going to deny that at all. The players are frustrated too, but you just got to continue to grind and dig deep in yourself and just try and execute.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the message from the skipper every day too. Talking to our pal Adam Jones here, live from Greece, here on Ben and Woods this morning. No, it's the same message every day. At what point though is it throwing good money after bad? You know what I mean? At what point do you have to say, all right, man, like, somebody's got to go. And I'm not the guy that wants to come in and fire everybody. I'm not, but like doing the same thing over and over, and it's bad results is the definition of insanity, man. Like
100%.
So when do you give them to the All-Star break? And if it doesn't turn around in the next 11 games or whatever it is, then you're going to have to take some hard looks.
Well, that's a Preller question, number one, because, I mean, like I said, I've never been the person to understand the firings of the managers, of the people. Generally, the managers are the ones that, they take the fall for the team's success. That's just how it goes.
Should it be that way, by the way? Should it be the manager that takes the fall and not the guy that gave the manager the ingredients to cook the food?
Well, I mean, you can't be mad at who you be mad at? I mean, the ultimate person to be mad at is the players. They're the ones that are the ones out there performing. The manager puts them, or attempts to put them in the best positions. Who we're mad at right now is the players. We're not mad at Bob Melvin. Let's be honest with ourselves. BMO he's making great decisions. We're mad at the execution right now. Once the execution goes, Bob Melvin's going to be like, oh, damn, we're so happy we got him from Anaheim, from the Athletics, and and only paid him $1 million more. So let's cut that part. It's execution right now, and it's frustrating as hell. And when we have the frustration, we're looking at every other option to point blame. We just need to just hone in with men in scoring position. The defense is great. The pitching's been great. Men in scoring position haven't been. Once these guys once they get on a roll, it can be so flourishing. But it's frustrating right now, so that's why we want to point fingers at other people. But me as the player, I'm like, I'm kicking myself. I'm kicking my teammates. Like, hey, come on, every day, let's go. Let's get this going. We're better.
Have you gotten the guy's face about body language? Because I hate it. It's the boomeriest take of I don't like their body language, right? But I see it, man. I see the slumping shoulders. I see the disgust when, they get a hit. Xander straight up came out in the media and said, when we get down 1 run, we're like, OS, here we go again. Like that can't happen. Yeah. That can't happen. That guy's a champion.
But it happens. You know what I mean? It happens because it's like when you're struggling, it's like, damn, it's when you're in a hole, you're back in the hole. Again, it's like Michael Jordan said, it's easy to talk when you're winning. It's hard to talk when you're tied, and it's hard to talk when you're losing. It's easy to talk when you're winning. So they just have to just hone in on it. And again, it's frustrating. That's what the whole thing is. And, to point blame at this guy, no, it's a team effort because you can't just be like, oh, well, this guy's doing this. And he's doing, well, it's a team. If he's hitting, like it started the whole thing with the Anaheim, like Trout and Ohtani will go 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs apiece, and they still lose 15-12. So it's like, it's a team effort. And when they get rolling, they get rolling. And it's just a frustrating stretch right now because they have a big ass bullseye on their back, and it ain't going nowhere. They're in Pittsburgh right now, and Pittsburgh ain't showing up, ain't letting up at all. And they got a really good, scrappy team. So the Padres are going to have to realize that, look, teams are trying to punch us right in the mouth. We gotta block that and punch them right back.
Talking to Adam Jones here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. And just following up on what Woods said, I think sometimes fans and the media see what they want to see or expect to see. Hey, team's losing, body language is bad. This team's lifeless. They're not giving any effort. And I don't know that that's always true. Any team that's losing is going to look bad, and they're not going to look happy out there. So from your inside perspective, your veteran experience, what should we be looking for? What are really the signs that you see when a team is truly bad? They've truly lost it, and they're going down the tubes. Because, I mean, you can always point at the win-loss column, but at the same time, it's baseball. You lose games all the time. They don't all spell disaster or mean that your team is terrible just because you're in a bad stretch. What is it that we should look for that tells us our team is truly and rightfully in trouble?
It's the how. It's the how. I mean, if it's a consistent, basis of allowing a starter to just, go through the lineup 2 times with, minimal pitches, at 40 pitches going through the lineup. If it's poor execution, poor at bats, not trying to manufacture runs. There's times, again, when you're struggling this 8th inning, and you get a chance to manufacture the run, when those situations to manufacture a run, to really get that 1 run, when those aren't happening, when the attempts to do that, that's when I always have a cause of concern, because as a professional player, we know how to do and should know how to do everything on the field. We know how to hit the ball over to the other side. We know how to bunt. Again, it's lost arts for a lot because of the analytical age and giving outs away. But at the end of the day, analytics doesn't account for win losses. The most important thing in the game is scoring more runs. So my biggest thing, and I always had a cause for concern, is when we're not hitting home runs, okay, that's the pitchers are stifling us. When we're not getting back-to-back base hits and generating rallies, okay, that happens. But when we get situations to get in a run and we just, give the at-bat away and first pitch off speed and we pop it up. And again, these are all physical things and they're frustrating, but these are telltale signs of execution. And you have to get those small runs, those small nuggets, because they always add up. And when you're not hitting good in runners in score position, it's a telltale. But also when the effort is not there in terms of driving the ball to the opposite field and making sure you get a deep fly ball, hitting the ball up the middle of the field with a man on third base and less than 2 outs with the infield back, like certain things like that. And again, as a professional, I always have to give the disclaimer that it's hard. It's very hard.
No doubt.
But those were always the telltale signs. And when you talk about body language, it's frustrating. You want to slam things. But one thing I never did and I never allowed on my team is putting your head down. You put your head down, I'm going to smack that thing right on up. Never put your head down. You're a major league player. Don't you ever show a sign of weakness. You can show that the guy just kicked your butt. Yeah, you can show that. But don't you ever show that, oh, my head is down, like I'm just completely defeated. Nah, that's not the major leagues. That right there is what you do in softball league. Go grab yourself a 6-pack.
Love it.
Adam, we'll let you get back to the Athens vacation. Sounds glorious over there. Would love to visit someday, and looking forward to seeing you next month here in San Diego, man.
Yes, sir. I can't wait to get in studio live with you guys. And hit the
Yeah.
research.
Yeah, then we're going to play some golf on my birthday, by the way.
Yep.
So bring me a present.
Ooh, I will.
All right, I know you will.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, buddy.
Adam
All right,
Jones
guys.
with us on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall Chevrolet Finding. I don't think I ever told Adam this story. I'm not sure if I did, and I wish I remembered the exact details, but he was with the Diamondbacks, so what would that have been, about 6-7 years ago, late in his career. And there was some sort of story. We needed a quote, and I went into the visitors clubhouse at Petco Park with a photographer for Channel 10 before the game to find Adam. And whatever it was, he was not having any of it. He looked at me like I was the biggest idiot. It's always a terrible feeling as a member of the media. It was like he was ready to storm off. And then he gave me give me a second, I'll come back. And when he came back, he was cool. He was good, gave me good answers, got what I needed done. And we were all right as rain. But that moment when he looked at me like, no, I don't have time for you. And I'm like, yeah, no way. That it's such a terrible feeling as a member of the media.
Gave you the mad bum.
It gave me a little bit of that. Like,
I'll never forget it. I have nightmares about Mad Bum staring a hole through me like I just slept with his wife. I was like, bro, I don't even know you. I'm dropping off cleats. Why don't you settle down in there, dude?
Does it at least make you feel any better that that's just how he stares at anybody? Like, even if they serve him a cup of coffee?
I would a little bit with Mad Bum.
No. Because again,
But
I'm like,
you didn't do it. That's just
no,
who
I
he
know
is.
I didn't do anything. I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, did I? No, I didn't.
You know,
He doesn't know who I am.
You know,
Why is he so mad at me?
Funny what Adam just said about the signs that your team's truly in trouble, that they're not doing the little things, going the other way. I would have said 1 week ago, Soto's going the other way. Guys are moving the ball over. They're bunting. They're running. They're stealing bases. I think things are pointed in the right direction. Last 3 days, totally panicked now. That looked like a different team again. They're not doing any of those things.
Yeah.
Had a runner on second. Xander, not moving them over. Just all the little things they're not doing again. And it's just back and forth, this team, like a pendulum. All right, we are halfway home on a Wednesday. We got Bryce Miller took the team to task for not just this year, but many years of failures. They got that coming up in our 8 o'clock hour here on the Fan.
Halfway home on a Wednesday, the halfway point of the week for Ben and Wood. It's been a really fun one this week, guys. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl to my right. It's our executive producer. Hi, Paul.
Hello.
Hi, Paul. To my left.
Okay, how are you?
To my left is Benjamin R. Higgins. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning to you, Woods.
We are now the official sponsors of an OTL team, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We are.
That stands for Over the Line.
That's
if
right.
anyone is unfamiliar with OTL.
You owe me $80, by the way. For that sponsorship. Anyway, well, take it. We're at 80. Call it even. You're Ben plus 80 on the bets.
Up $80
You know what?
on our.
Start it over.
Is that it? I just paid you for our OTL sponsorship.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, I thought this was coming out of some of our show funds.
Wipe it out, buddy.
All right, fine, whatever.
Yeah, wiped out. Back to zero, just like that.
But I'm a full sponsor now of the OTL team.
Yeah.
You can't say that I didn't do my part.
No, you did your part.
I put in my share.
Yes, you absolutely did.
All right.
So our friend Christina, who I married, not married. I performed the ceremony, much like I performed the ceremony of Megan and Paul.
You didn't marry me.
I didn't marry you.
Married me.
And I have another one coming up in November. So I'm waiting on the details for that, mister. I'm like a heathen. Why would you want me to bless your marriage? I don't understand. But at any rate, Christina, who I love her and her family, asked, hey, what do you think about using the logo? And I said, well, yeah, I'll do you one better. Well, let's just sponsor your team. It's called Ben's Big Woods. And the logo looks fantastic. And it's underneath it says do the show bits. You can see that on our Twitter at Ben and Woods. Probably put it on the YouTube feed if you're there. But if you're listening on the radio, you can see it on our Twitter. It's phenomenal. Ben's Big Woods with the measuring tape and
the shadow,
the headphones. Oh, the shadow is of a wiener. I just noticed that. Did you see that, Ben?
I didn't notice the wiener shadow.
There's a wiener shadow. I think they modeled that one off of me and not you, but that's on there. And so we're now.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Very subtle.
Very subtle. Very subtle indeed.
Well, I mean, the tradition with OTL teams is that you come up with kind of risque or off-color team names. It's an adult sort of tournament.
It is. But feels great. It feels great to help and sponsor, and I love them, and happy to do it. So at any rate, like I said, we're halfway home. We got Bryce Miller coming on at 8:35. Going to do a little bit deeper dive into the organization as a whole, and I think that's probably a really fair place to start, and kind of an unemotional look at just how bad this is. And make no mistake, I absolutely tip my hat to a GM who wants to try something different. I do. And I was all in and I bought in. It's not working, and it hasn't worked. So now, before you go completely down the drain, what do you do to fix it? Is it fixable? Don't know. I don't get paid to make those decisions.
Tell me this, as we evaluate AJ Preller's general manager tenure with the Padres, I feel like this year was pretty pivotal. Yes, when he started out, he took a flyer on some players. Yep. I think even AJ Preller knew, though, that he was throwing some stuff at the wall when he made those moves. The Matt Kemp, Derek Norris, Will Middlebrooks.
I get a lot.
Got people very excited.
No doubt.
But anyone in baseball had to have some reservations. Yeah, you're hopeful it worked out, but he pivoted so quickly. You had an idea that the long-term, at least for the next few years, plan was to rebuild the farm system. We're going to target international draft picks. We're going to try to build things up. And then in a couple of years, we're going to go for it. And when they got to that point, they signed Hosmer, then they signed Manny Machado. Then the 2020 season, the pandemic happened. They had that great year. All right. So at that point, you can say the Padres were kind of on their AJ Preller plan. Maybe it took a year longer, than they were hoping, but they were on the plan. 2021 was undoubtedly a setback and a surprise. But then in 2022, they got to the National League Championship Series. So honestly, for the first 7 years, I think you can make the argument that AJ Preller was not too far off what his original plan was for the San Diego Padres long term. Now, though, what clearly had to happen was that you build on 2022.
You had to.
And you burst into a decade in which you are consistently
a favorite.
A favorite. A team that's making deep runs and almost hopefully certainly will put that ring on your finger at some point. So when they come out this year, and instead of, maintaining the momentum from 2022, building on it, doing more, adding more players, which they did, take that step back, it changes your whole perspective on, what the heck is AJ Preller been doing? He has orchestrated this. Like, he has written the show, the script, all leading up to this moment.
Good morning, guys.
The big, the big climactic scene of his movie that he has scripted as GM of the Padres.
Yeah, and it's Waterworld.
And at the end, it's
not
all
a bad movie. By
it's
the way,
all gone flat.
Not a bad movie.
Where you're supposed to be
more like Geely.
where you're supposed to be crescendoing, you're falling flat here at the end. That's a huge problem.
Going back to Preller Palooza, I don't get much right as a prognosticator. I don't. I'll wear it. It's fine. I get a few things right. Some things I have a gut feeling on. Some things I have data to back it up. When Preller Palooza happened, I wasn't in sports radio at the time, but I didn't like really any of those deals. And it wasn't because of the guys I was unaware of, Ben. It was regarding the guys I was aware of, the Derek Norrises, the Will Middlebrooks, the absolutely broken down Matt Kemp, who all he wanted to do was be a Dodger. That's all he wanted in life. He liked the LA lifestyle. He wanted to be a Dodger, was not a fit here, and his hip, my hips are better than Matt Kemp's hip was in 2015. But you remember, that was the very start of the very complicated trade. Will Myers to San Diego, Trey Turner to Washington, Max Fried gone to Atlanta for Justin Upton, Yasmani Grandal and Zach Eflin, who's a good pitcher now for Matt Kemp. James Shields was signed to a 4-year deal. What a complete bust. It did net us Fernando Tatis Jr. And then, you went out the day before. And the most exciting moves were the day before the season with Craig Kimbrell and Melvin Upton Jr. And, we know how that went. But they went 32-33 with that new, exciting roster.
Better than this team.
Better than this team. Bud Black was fired. Dave Roberts was 0-1 in that short little stint. And then Pat Murphy went 42-54. They finished in 4th place with a 74-88 record. That was year one. Of course, you're going to give them a pass. So then you go into the draft of next year. Austin Smith, he's an indie ball pitcher in 2022. So it was a couple of years ago. Jacob Nix, know how that worked out. Austin Allen traded to Tampa Bay. Trey Wingner, Phil Maton, and Ty France in the 34th round, who now plays for the Mariners. So again, every GM's going to get a few swings and misses here. Every GM's going to get a chance to draft the guys that he likes. But when you look at some of the talent amassed that has been sent off, the Emmanuel Clases of the world, obviously the Trey Turner, everyone talks about that for Will Myers. But it's some of those other moves. It's the Zach Eflins, it's the Max Frieds, it's some of the guys that you didn't draft when you could have. But yeah, you look at the draft in the next year, Benny, which was 2016, that international class. So here we go. We're gonna go headlong international. Adrian Morejon has delivered 68 innings in the big leagues to a 4.87 ERA. 8 of his 45 appearances have been starts. So he's a left-handed mop-up duty you paid $11 million to. Jorge Oña, injured all the time. Michel Baez, thrown 36 innings. We're talking 7 years now it's been. 7.
Now, some of these guys are still fairly young. Most of them are still fairly young, but none of them have really broken through big time. Luis Patino was part of that.
He was.
Group was traded away, obviously, in the deal that brought the Padres Blake Snell. You can say, well, there was some value to those guys, but none of them have broken through to the Padres and become like the Astros have had, like homegrown contributors to a championship team.
There have been some wins in there. There have been some guys that you picked up that were good, like the Brad Hands of the world that you found that nobody else wanted. Yeah, there's been some reclamation projects that have worked out. There have been some trades that have worked out. Fernando Tatis Jr. is obviously one that probably buys you a lot of cachet, and I think for good reason.
Even knowing that they are still young, going back to the international players, because when I was reading Bryce Miller's column last night, that was the one that stuck out to me the most.
It's tough, dude.
In the Preller regime.
It was like 80
the
mil,
early
70 mil?
About 80
million. You had the early stuff that we talked about with Kemp and Norris and all those guys. You had the recent stuff with the Xander signing, the Cronenworth extension, etc. But it was the $80 million that you put into the international money, and all you have to show for it is hoping that maybe someday, possibly, Adrian Morejon could be a decent bullpen arm.
Right.
That's where we're at. But my point was, it's been 7 years since that international signing period. It's fair that we should have expected some big league contributions, significant big league contributions at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we signed, Ethan Salas is the new hot prospect. Jackson Merrill. Like in 7 years, they better be damn well. It's like established major league players, right?
If they make it, if they make it, B, if they're not traded away, it's really hard. We've seen a lot of prospects come and go. I'm listen, I'm also the first guy to tell you, prospects are prospects and flags fly forever. And I thought these moves in the offseason, I certainly was excited about this team. That's the weird part is I'm not anymore. I'm not excited about them. They're not exciting. They're sloppy. They remain sloppy. Even when they try to, Adam Jones was talking about, hey man, when they punch you, you got to punch them in the mouth. I feel like even when we try to do something, when we try to take the extra bag or when we swing 3-0 or, I feel like all of that goes wrong as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a desperation.
Yes.
It's never, it's never a great thing because it makes you sometimes do unwise things.
It's little things too.
Like Soto throwing home. When things are going bad, it's like, maybe I can turn this around by making a miraculous throw home.
Right,
Instead, you just end up making a really bad decision that gives a guy an extra base at second, makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. I believe that Juan Soto knows how to play the outfield, knows what he's doing out there.
Made a hell of a catch running in the wall the other day.
When he sees things going poorly, because I know he wants to win.
The same thing.
That's a little bit of pressing.
He then tries to do something too heroic. And I do believe that is a large part of the issue, that every guy up there knows they're making a ton of money and they feel like they have to be the one that I have to turn everything around on this at bat.
Yep.
I have to turn everything around in this play in the field, in this throw that I make. And honestly, it's not a good way to play baseball. It's the way Adam Jones put. You need to pass the baton one to the next guy. You can't all be the hero. And I think when fans sometimes say, oh, these guys just, they're just trying to be the hero all the time, they look at it and look like these guys are selfish. They want to be stars. They want to make big money. They're already making big money. I think they're doing it because they're desperate. They want to win and they're panicking that it's not happening. So now they're trying to do too much. And you never win a baseball game by trying to do too much.
And is the right plan of attack? And I hear it from all sides. I do. And I get a lot of messages about it. Is the right plan of attack doing another reset, like another trade of guys that aren't controllable for more prospects that maybe work out?
What does a reset mean?
A reset to me would mean they go into the deadline limping like they are now.
Half your rosters under contract for like 7 years.
100%. 100%. Yeah,
you can't really do
the bulk of this team. You're stuck with.
Yeah, there's no reset that's happening. I mean, a reset would be trading Tatis and Manny and Bogarts,
right?
And nobody's buying any of
those. And you're completely rebuilding, and that's not even possible. Nor do I think you'd want to do that at this point. So
Xander, Musgrove, Cronenworth, Machado. I don't know that anybody's buying those contracts, even if you wanted to. Darvish.
I mean,
maybe Steve Cohen is desperate, but I don't think so.
Yeah, and I don't think you're desperate to unload a lot of those guys.
No.
I think you still are considering most of those guys the nucleus of the team that you're hoping. If you don't think those guys can win the title, then I mean,
fold it up, man. Fold up the tent.
Then if AJ Preller walks into the office today and goes, Peter, we need a reset. I need to trade all of these guys. He should just keep walking, because that would be an acknowledgement that I just spent $1 billion on a bunch of players that I don't think can win a World Series. After 3 months, I don't think they've got it in them in the next 5-6 years to do anything. Might as well just keep walking right back out to the parking lot if that's the strategy that AJ Preller. So there's no reset coming for the Padres. Now, is there a strategic retooling that may involve trading players like Blake Snell and Josh Hader before they become free agents? Yeah, there better be. There better be. Otherwise, you're just rolling out the exact same team next year with a couple of fringe moves on the side.
It's the vicious cycle that's murdering this team of if you don't trust him to make the right moves, then why trust him to trade those pieces? Those pieces, if they're not being developed properly, they rarely reach the big leagues. Why then? It's the vicious circle of it all, and I don't know what the answer is.
Well,
I don't. But
that's why we're talking to Bryce Miller coming up here at the bottom of the hour. One thing it's done as we take a timeout, it's robbed me of something that I would have normally in a regular Padres season, regular baseball season, I would have delighted in a stat that I can no longer take joy in. You've taken that away from me, Padres.
What,
I'll tell you what
74
it is.
days until the NFL
kickoff
date?
I'll tell you what it is when we come back. With Ben and Woods, check traffic and return on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Back with Ben and Woods here, 8:24 on a Wednesday morning. Tell you what, Ben from a few years ago would have absolutely reveled in this stat from the Major League Baseball season here in 2023, Woods. The 3 highest payroll teams in MLB right now are combined 5 games under 500.
Yeah.
I would have
when the shoes are on the other foot.
I would have delighted in that. I would have trumpeted. Look, my small market Padres, they've got a shot. You don't have to be the big boys. You don't have to be the Yankees or the Mets or the Dodgers to have a good season. You look at the division leaders. I think the Atlanta Braves have the 9th highest payroll. They're the most spendy of the division leaders right now. You've got the Diamondbacks in first place. You've got either the Reds or the Brewers on a day-to-day basis that don't spend a ton of money. The Rangers spent some money, but not nearly as much as some of the other teams have done in Major League Baseball.
They spent a lot of money.
The Twins in first place are not the biggest spenders in baseball.
No.
I would have reveled in that stat. Would have made my day. Except now the Padres.
That was when you were Colonel Budget.
One of those 3 teams that are the highest payroll teams. The Padres are 5 games under 500. The Mets are 7 games under 500, even after a win yesterday over the Brewers. And the Yankees, after losing to the A's 2-1 yesterday, I think their 21st win of the year for the A's, there are 7 games over 500, but nowhere near meeting the expectations that they were looking at this season. No one's getting the bang for their buck in baseball this year.
True.
At least at the top of the pay scale.
Today should be an interesting day in baseball, I think. I think this is where you were going to go in this section, Ben. Steve Cohen tweeted out that he will be addressing the media and giving some straight answers. What were Billy Eppler's comments?
So, as happens, especially in a place like New York, as the team continues to flounder, Buck Showalter's job becomes a topic of conversation. Is Buck on the hot seat? Is he got to go with the way the Mets have underperformed this year? And this is what his GM, Billy Eppler, former Angels GM, had to say about Buck Showalter, his job status, and his responsibility in putting the Mets together.
What is your evaluation of the job Buck has done? Buck's had a good amount of adversity kind of heaped his way, and I think it started in spring training with the loss of Diaz, and losing some of the pitchers for a time being. Justin being out at the start of the year, Max, his suspension and kind of the irregular workload. And so I think Buck's handled that adversity, and I think he's the guy to get us back on track.
All right, so he gave a vote of confidence in Buck Showalter. Do we have another bite from him, or is that the only one? All right. He also went on to say, and I'll give Billy Eppler credit for that. He goes, "I'm the one who put together this team. Essentially, if you want to blame someone, don't blame Buck. I'm the one that put together these players and thought that they would perform better. Maybe putting himself in the crosshairs a little bit." And I think that's a very similar position to where the San Diego Padres are at right now. Is it the manager? Is it the guy who put together the team? This team is underperforming. Who accepts the responsibility and the blame for what this season has turned into so far?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like everyone's pointing at somebody else, and that it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Steve Cohen has to say. And I wonder. I don't know. I don't know enough about the Mets to know that, Buck's not the right guy for the job. Again, comes with a sterling reputation, as does Bob Melvin. Paulie and I were talking about it before the show. Literally, I've never been doing this a little bit, and I've never heard more glowing reviews ever on anyone. A player, coach, manager, ever. Never. Not one. No one. No one.
Here's a little bit more from Billy Eppler. Paulie's dug it up. I like this. I like this self-accountability.
Billy, you mentioned the track records of the team on the field. How much responsibility do you bear on the way the team is performed?
I mean, I constructed the roster, and so, we put this team together, and a large part of it we put together last year, and then supplemented with some of the pieces that, we lost in the wintertime. And, but ultimately, I mean, this is the club we have right now. And, I think we expect, them to be able to do more, and I think they expect it of themselves.
Well, he's the one that put it together, and similar to AJ, a lot of the pieces put together in the past and supplemented with Xander Bogaerts a pretty big supplement, but the Carpenter, Cruz, some moves that have not worked out the way the Padres had hoped so far.
Some of them have, like Waka. Waka's worked out.
Sure.
Yep.
No one bats 1,000 and no one bats 0.
Right.
In Major League Baseball as a general manager.
But yeah, it's as dire, if not more dire than what the Mets have. Max Scherzer, did you hear this? Reportedly open to waiving his no trade clause to go to another team. 38 years old.
I'd say maybe the Mets actually are in a more dire position.
I'd say so.
I mean, their superstar pitchers are much, much older. I haven't heard anyone on the Padres say, trade me, get me out of here yet.
Not yet. Not publicly.
Maybe we haven't gotten to that level of anxiety like they have in New York right now. But
Do
again,
we see any time for Steve Cohen's press conference today?
I don't know when it's coming, but
I'm interested.
I cannot wait.
But
by the way, Max Scherzer, makes $43 million a year. $43 million a year. Regularly, I mean, he's got 3.95 ERA, Ben.
I'm sure there are Padres fans who are asking, well, when's Peter Seidler doing his press conference? When will we hear from the Padres owner? Full transparency, we've asked a couple of times in recent weeks, and we were told Peter will be speaking. What was it? Sometime maybe around the All-Star break,
mid-season,
middle of the
All-Star
season.
break.
So we probably are close to that. Now, are they going to push back the timeline? I'm sure they're hoping the team will start to play better a little bit, but at some point, Peter, I'm sure will talk and will answer questions candidly, as he always does. Every time we have spoken to him, he's never been one to duck a question.
Yeah.
Now, you may not like his answers. He's a positive guy and has supported unwaveringly his general manager in the past. I don't know that that's going to change. You may not like what you hear
but when
Peter Seidler does come on, but he will tell you what he thinks and what he believes. And I would continue to listen to this program for some of that coming up in hopefully the near future.
Michael G in the chat says, I think I read on Twitter it's going to be at noon Eastern. That would be in 30 minutes.
Oh,
all right. Well, we can talk to Bryce. We'll talk to Bryce Miller, and then when we get to the top of the hour, we'll have some interesting comments from the other side of the country, talking a lot about the GMs. Bryce Miller talking about accountability and the results from not just this year, but the past 8 years since A.J. Preller became the general manager. He will join us, columnist for the Union Tribune, when we come back here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by, well, something I think we all feel like we could use right now. South Norte Tequila Cocktails. Savor South Norte. Mexican-inspired premium tequila cocktails made with real tequila and real juice. Sip on a classic margarita, an authentic Paloma, or crack open a Matador or the Mexican Mule. Pick yours up at Stater Brothers, Ralph's, Costco, and more. Yeah, 4 or 5 of those, and you will not be worried about the Padres struggling. It's one way to take away the pain of baseball. But is this just a 2023 problem?
Yeah, or beyond.
Or is this an institutional issue for the Padres? We'll discuss it with UT columnist Bryce Miller tackling it in the paper this morning, coming up after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Well, not too bad of a ride on our freeways at this time, guys. There is a collision on the Camino del Norte off-ramp of South on 15. Looks like a couple of vehicles involved. Coach Quintero and Joe Musgrove's choice. They're a different kind of dealership looking to be a solid community partner and deliver excellent service. Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Chevrolet, find new roads. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And joining us right now on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Fan hotline, someone I'm always happy to run into in a press box or news conference scenario, columnist for the San Diego Union Tribune sports section, Bryce Miller is with us here on 97.3 The Fan. A good Tier 1 listener as well. Good morning, Bryce.
Hi, Bryce.
Good morning, guys. How we doing today?
Oh, fantastic.
Nerves are frayed a bit, no doubt about it. I mean, we weren't the only ones who expected big, possibly historic things from this Padres team and lineup. Right. I don't think we were crazy at the beginning of the season to set our expectation bar at a fairly high level, Bryce.
Yeah, me too. Everyone. I mean, you just couldn't look at those names assembled in a lineup and not only kind of dream of, but assume you would have this, epic, possibly historic production. And to surround the problem that the Padres have right now in terms of their inability to produce consistent offense is really confounded by they have tremendous starting pitching. They have elite defense. They have a bullpen, even though fans seem to remember the breakdowns more than the successes. But over time, it's been good enough, and over a long season. And there's a lot of factors that go into it: who's hurt, who's out, who's available. That's always a complicated conversation about relievers. But they have all the pieces except one, and it falls on these stars. And that's what's been the hardest thing for people to understand. And as everyone tries to answer that question, Kevin Acey, my colleague at UT, talked to multiple players on the record. And just the fact, it seemed kind of stunning to me that there's kind of the sense of they're lost. They don't have answers. It's more than, hey, we know this is going to happen. This team seems and feels lost. And that's the part that's got to be the most concerning.
That's one part that concerns me, obviously, Bryce. Talking to Bryce Miller from the UT here on Ben & Woods this morning. Great piece. And was reading it, and it hit me. I did not grow up here. Ben has told me many war stories of the Padres of old and how San Diego was a place to come at the end of your career to play golf at Torrey Pines, get you a nice house, spend some time on the beach with your family, and wrap up the twilight of your career. Now, certainly it has seemed, as far as payroll has rocketed up and expectations have rocketed up, you've added players, but you make a great point, and one we've talked about a little bit: who gets better when they come here? Who lands in San Diego and immediately gets better? We thought for a second Xander Bogaerts might be it. Man, that regression hit, and it hit soon, and I'm sure he's injured and all that. That's the most inexplicable part for me. Hosmer, Adam Frazier, Josh Bell, so many more. Trent Grisham, Austin Nola. There have been a couple of guys that have played okay and a little bit maybe more than we expected. But really, when they get off the plane here, the numbers dive. It's so odd.
Yeah, and that kind of hints at the bigger question. The reason I wrote the column, the reason I wrote it is everybody's talking about this season, really focused on the big contracts, the big names in 2023. But this is the 9th season under the core of that front office, and you're locked into long-term contracts that take you, half of your position players into like the 30s. 20, 30 and beyond. And you depleted a lot of the farm system to do it. So what leverage do you have moving forward if this plan doesn't work? Is anybody taking on those long-term contracts? How do you deal from a position of relative weakness with your farm system? We've seen so many of these prospects. The cost of building this particular lineup, we could all rattle off names of players who are not only playing in the big leagues, but doing really well, very productive, ton of ceiling. Those players were Padres at one point. They were in that organization. So I think it's fair to have that bigger conversation about not just 2023, but where they're at. I don't expect those guys moving forward, those core four, to play like this, especially offensively down the road. But, Xander Bogaerts, that was a really long deal. People thought that was an overpay. He has a bulky wrist. You've got a decade left on that contract. You had plenty of shortstops. We've talked through all of it, but those are questions that lead you back to the front office. There's only one constant in this, because managers have shuffled like a Vegas blackjack dealer, more so with hitting coaches. So is it a conversation about 2023, or is it a question about, was this the right construction? Is chemistry a factor, and is the front office potentially responsible for that, researching the investments that they make that are long-term and for huge amounts of money? I just think that conversation needed to happen. And I should say this, no one gives A.J. Preller, the front office, credit for the successes. Some will talk about the Shields for Tatis deal, and Tatis was an afterthought in that deal, but that was an incredible move for this organization that may pay off in huge ways moving forward. But they also sold high on All-Star Fernando Rodney, the closer at the All-Star break in 2016. They've done smart things, but over time, the bottom line is, what has the result been? How have you managed all areas of the organization effectively in terms of like player development, and on and on and on. So I know it's a 2023 conversation, but I also think it's fair to have the bigger conversation.
Bryce, you write that you said this feels DNA deep for the franchise. And I want to just ask you a little bit more kind of what you mean by that, simply because AJ Preller's decisions, any general manager's decisions, will always be in the crosshairs. Was it a good trade? Was it a bad trade? Was it a good signing? Was it a bad signing? DNA is a much tougher thing to identify, but it undoubtedly exists. When you look at the Padres front office, Peter Seidler on down. I mean, I don't think anyone's complaining about Peter Seidler, but do you feel like there's something just wrong with the way the Padres operate, not necessarily just each individual decision?
Well, I don't know how they operate. I think it's important to be honest about that.
Yeah, that's true.
I haven't sat down. I mean, we assume we know how to operate, how they operate. And there have been some breadcrumbs that have come out on social media that you either can, put stock in or not. But I haven't sat down with AJ Preller or Peter Seidler and talked through how they're structured, what they do, what their bigger philosophies are. You get some of that in glancing blows in conversations with those guys, but in a real world way, day to day, not how they describe it, but what it feels like, how it operates. I don't know that, and almost nobody does. But I think you can talk about DNA deep kind of things when you look at the results. When you look at, like I said again, player development, acquisitions, farm system players that have moved on and done incredibly well. It's a results business. And when you look at these, and again, we're going into year 9. Last year, a handful of games away from the World Series. That was the expectation with all this money and work with the farm system over the years to do that. But they've also had bad years. You think about the Olympics, it's more like they throw out the high and low scores, and it's the scores in the middle that really generate the results. So when you look at it in a bigger picture way, it's not the success of 2022. It was also the slide of 2021, which was one of the worst in franchise history, if it doesn't extend beyond that down the stretch. So it's just a bigger thing when you judge organizationally, even if you don't know their structure and how they operate. It's fair to say I can look at the results and ask questions.
Yeah, Bryce, and at the end of the day, 554 and 640 in 9 years, that's your one loss, and that's really what you're going to be judged on. I mean, you have stuff at your work where you're judged on. We're judged on ratings, And if I did 9 years of well below average ratings, I'm probably out of a job. I am out of a job. If I do 2 years of average ratings, I'm probably out of a job. What is the solution if there is one? I keep thinking, I don't know if you guys have seen this documentary. It's about Metallica. Ben, I know you haven't. It's called Some Kind of Monster. They had all this success. They hated each other. They literally hated
Bryce
each other.
and I were just watching this together.
I figured you were. But at some point,
I actually like Metallica. Don't broad brush me, Ben.
Exactly. It's a phenomenal documentary about, how to right the ship, as it were, how to figure out what it is what is the problem, and everyone taking stock and accountability. I don't think they need to sing Kumbaya, but I think an organizational meeting in a room of like, let's get it out, say it now, forever hold your peace. Something's got to change, because again, when you talk about the guys looking lost and all the players saying, we don't know, that to me says Bob Melvin, but I know that's not the case. You know how I know? Because I talked to 100 people about Bob Melvin. Everyone said master communicator, knows exactly how to gauge personalities. If he's not getting the job done in there, who will?
Yeah, I kind of end up finding myself in that battle too about defending Bob Melvin. I mean, it's silly to me to think any person can point out, oh, they left Tim Hill in too long.
Yeah.
They took him out too early. And those daily things, kind of scrutinizing those daily decisions, happens everywhere, and it's going to happen with Melvin. And anybody who says he should be gone can rattle off 5 of those. But you could do that with any manager of baseball. But his track record, like you said, I went back and talked to a lot of people when they hired him, and I've never experienced something like this where it was 100% positive. There was no pausing to think about, should I bring this up? It was just like, this is a home run hire.
Bryce,
and
not one
manager. Yeah.
Not one person said, hey, great hire, guys. And then said, but by the way, he's really bad at this. Or
he's really good at this,
yeah,
but
there were no buts. I never heard one single but.
And you think about that, you're half season removed from an NLCS run. So is he the guy that's leading a group that's struggling? I mean, he doesn't pick up a bat and go out there and hit in the lineup. Is he that manager in a half season, or is he the manager just a year ago who took a team to the NLCS? So I just think it's silly to point the finger at him. Now there are questions. I think it's fair to ask questions. What's the relationship between Peter Seidler, who, deserves a statue in the city for the effort he's made to make a winner at a lot of personal expense? But what's that relationship like between Seidler and AJ Preller? They're incredibly close. Does it cloud the ability to make tough decisions? I don't know. What's the relationship between Bob Melvin and AJ Preller, and the kind of now becoming very common conversation about who's pushing the daily buttons? Is it front officers and a manager? And all those things. Your answer might lie in there organizationally in terms of where they're at. That's a hard one to get to. But yeah, this year the conversation is, can those big 4 guys hit? But in a broader way, in a 8.5 season way, I'm beginning to wonder if it's something bigger.
Bryce Miller says it's time to ask the bigger questions. Thank you for joining us, Bryce. It's been a while, but we always appreciate when you come on.
Yeah, anytime.
Bryce Miller, UT, on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. I'm going to do something unexpected right now. I'm going to praise AJ Preller.
Okay.
The one thing that I have always liked and admired about AJ Preller, he's not afraid to take a risk in a job where so many people are afraid to take a chance because, hey, I finally climbed this mountain. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to do something stupid. I'm always going to play it safe. I'm going to do, what's expected of me. AJ Preller has always been very unafraid to take big risks in that chair, and that is not easy to do, and I will give him a ton of credit. But the biggest risk that maybe he's taken now is that he has an owner who has given him carte blanche, an open checkbook, a payroll approaching $300 million. He has a manager that no one has anything bad to say about it. 3-time manager of the year that is heralded around baseball as you said, a master communicator, a guy who knows exactly what he's doing. When you put that on one side of you, an owner on the other side, and then you don't have success, there's very, very little else where you can go to find blame for what's going on with the San Diego Padres. Sure, some of it rests, of course, on the feet of the players who ultimately have to produce. But like we heard from Billy Eppler earlier, there's one man who put the roster together. There's one man whose fingerprint is on all of it right now. Can't blame Peter Seidler, I don't think. And I don't think you can blame Bob Melvin. So kind of goes to A.J. Preller. And when you take risks, that sometimes comes with the territory.
Yeah, no.
Big, giant.
You should play blackjack with me.
Big, giant failures with big, giant risks.
Yeah, I play blackjack like that. Just way too hard and fast. Way too hard and fast. And I would not be a good GM. I'm not sitting here saying it's an easy job. It is not. It's one of the most challenging jobs in baseball. You can have all their – look at the Dodgers. My God. You know, for all their talent and their depth and their ability to develop and their money, they've got the whole package, and they still don't win World Series. That's how hard it is. They got it all. Superstars, check. Depth, huge check. Development, massive check. Good GM, check. Open checkbook, check. What do they got since 1988? What do they have? They have a 60-game World Series championship. That's it. That's how hard it is to win a World Series. So I'm not sitting in here saying it's easy. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing. It's friggin' hard, as evidenced by the team 100 miles up the road. It's really hard to do. They got it all. Everyone, I wish we were the Dodgers. I wish we were the Dodgers. Do you? Do you? Winning every division championship and melting down in October? I mean, I guess it's better than this, but it ain't better by much. You want to talk about heartbreak? That's heartbreak. That's heartbreak. Right? Am I off base? Am I just being a hater here?
No, you're not. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
A gazillion dollars spent since 1988 for one. Again, it's a World Series championship. You played 60 games. That's what you got.
The problem is the Padres are now on the road to spend $1 bazillion. Not even a 60-game championship.
Yeah, well, that's year one of 30. We'll see. We'll see. That's how hard it is
going forward. All right, we'll come back. We got 1 hour left. Paulie's got some Reindl Report headlines and more on the Fan. All right, Paulie has come up with now that we're back to zero on our $10 bets, Woods, as I used my $80 toward our
OTL
sponsorship
team.
of an OTL team.
What's the name of our team again, Ben?
It's Ben's Big Woods.
Yeah. I love it.
Paulie has put Blake Snell as the center of our $10 bet for the day. Over under strikeouts 9.5. Another double-digit strikeout performance for Blake Snell, or does he take a step back here? I've got the under. You've got the over on 9.5. No reason he shouldn't get to double-digit strikeouts, I would think, against the Pirates.
Yeah, well,
a team that until yesterday had been scuffling badly at the plate. They had two guys who were in 0 for like 23 or more slumps going into the game, and Austin Hedges wasn't one of them. He was slumping, but not that badly. Sawinski and Bay were both in like the 0 for 20 range, and somehow they pound out 9 runs against the San Diego Padres.
Sawinski was approaching 0 for 30.
Yeah,
I
he
think,
was.
and he hit a bomb, 16 Ks or something. I mean, it was dire. It was dire for the Pirates.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? Blake Snell, hopefully, will go out, shove again today. He's been looking great. When he gets in a groove, you'd like to see him stay in that groove. Padres are going up against probably the toughest pitcher they're facing in the series. That's right-hander Mitch Keller, who's 8-3 with a 3.45 ERA, 1.11 WHIP. One of the things that was disturbing to me about yesterday's game is Rich Hill is the kind of starter that at least this Padres team kind of pounds. The softer throwing lefties, that's the Padres wheelhouse. Now you get the harder throwing fastball righties. They've given the Padres more problems
Or
this
lefties
year.
like Mackenzie Gore.
Now, Padres did score 4 runs yesterday, which traditionally this year has been the key to victory. They score 4. They've won, 90% of the time this year. So maybe if Yu Darvish had been healthy and pitching normally, we'd be talking about a 4-1 win and, having a very different conversation on the show today because they did get the 4 runs. They could have had a lot more, it felt like, though, against Rich Hill in that game yesterday. But after that first 3, they pretty much shut it down. Nelly Cruz got his RBI single in the old versus old battle later in the game, but the pitching just never gave him a chance yesterday.
What's the game time? Same as yesterday?
Same as yesterday,
Okay.
4:05 first pitch, 3:05 pregame show with Sam Levitt here on 97.3 The Fan. So I will write down our bet. Thank you, Paulie, for coming up with
What'd you
today's
take?
wager.
You took the under?
I took the under. You
Okay.
got the over on 9.5. Now for more great content from Mr. Paul Reindl, let's get to it.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Got a couple of, one very disappointed Padres fan at home. Very disappointed.
It's not doing too well.
Nope. Watching it last night with me, snuggled up in my arms. He just goes, Dada, can I stay up to the end of the game? I said, yeah, man, you can stay up to the end. Last out, he goes,
Dad, maybe this wasn't sustainable.
he goes, man, this doesn't even look like a real baseball team.
Oh, God.
I go, I'm going to start recording these. There's better takes than your old man, honestly. You guys got bigger stones than me.
Yeah. Calls it like it is.
Oh, I'm a cheerleader, so.
You're a cheerleader.
Yep. You know
All
I
right.
do. You know I do it.
I do know.
I cheerlead all day long.
Let's call this the good, the bad, and the jealous. How about that
Okay.
for the Reindl Report? We'll start with the good. Shohei Ohtani. I mean, you think you've seen it all. What more can you say about the guy? Just an unbelievable.
Does it again.
An unbelievable
He has
night.
brittle fingernails, apparently.
Yeah,
He does
that's
have
what
br-
I can
you-
say.
That is something new. You
His
just couldn't
biggest
say that.
weakness.
Against Shohei Ohtani.
I don't know what was better, his 10 strikeouts on the mound as the pitcher or his 2 home runs at the plate.
God.
It's just every day you feel like this is something we've never seen. Maybe we will never see. Like we're seeing Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
we are watching one of the best to ever do it, something that has never been done before. Cannot stress that enough. Don't give me Babe Ruth.
Well, I think we
Babe Ruth
literally
was a pitcher and then a hitter.
We literally saw history last night because Ohtani homered in the first inning. As you said, he had 10 strikeouts, but then he was pitching and got a cracked fingernail, and they brought the trainers out. They had to take him out of the game. Now, in the history of baseball, that has always meant, until this year, that you're done. You're out of the game. You can't be taken out of the game and go back in, but they changed that rule. If you're the designated hitter, even if you're taken out as the pitcher, you can stay in as the DH, and he did stay in and hit another home run in his next at-bat. So,
and let's say if
first player in baseball to be taken out of a game
but still
and come
stay in
back
the
and
game.
still hit a home run
Very
later
adult
in the game.
league rules of them. He can
Well, 'cause
re-enter.
It's not even like, let's say your pitcher finishes the 5th inning and his day is done, and he's batting second in that same inning, in the
Right.
bottom half of the inning. Like, he could still hit,
Yeah, he
and
could
then
still
you
hit.
could make the move. But why would you ever have done that?
True, but you didn't. He
Maybe
finished the
Madison
inning. though.
Bumgarner at one point.
Ohtani didn't finish the inning. He was in the middle of the inning
Right.
and got taken out. He was literally taken out of a game
Removed as
and
the
yet
pitcher.
came back in and hit a home run. Never see that in baseball.
Nope. It's incredible what is going on there. That was the good. Here's the bad. Ooh. Blue Jays All-Star last year, right? Alek Manoah.
Oh, yeah.
My God.
He was Cy Young finalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about it when he didn't get demoted to AAA. He didn't get demoted to AA. Like, the Blue Jays sent him back to the rookie level
league. Yep.
Florida Complex League, and he had his first game yesterday. Didn't go well. In
You could
fact,
say that. Yeah.
he pitched 2 2/3 innings. He gave up 10 hits, 11 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and 2 home runs for Alek Manoah in a rookie league Florida Complex League game.
I've heard he was facing some really good 18 and 19-year-olds.
Well, listen. So Brandon McCarthy pitched for a long time. Very, very level-headed, measured human being.
I saw this tweet too.
Yeah, he tweeted, this is probably a smaller deal than it looks like. If he's working on very specific things in the zone, super aggressive minor league hitters will tee off. If he was trying to be competitive, then I don't know how much ado to make out of this. You know what I'm saying? It could be much ado about nothing. It could be, we see that in spring training all the time. Yeah, he's only throwing fastball changeup today, guys. Like, we're not mixing in the slider. I'm down here to work and work on my mechanics.
There's very
and things
little
like that.
reason they would ask him to compete. Hey, we want you to go out and try to win this
Try to
game.
win this game.
But it's no, if
I tend to
maybe
lean
you
towards
send
you.
him to AAA and say, hey, we need to work on your competitiveness. You just go out and win. You don't send someone to the rookie complex unless it's just, hey, I want you to do nothing but sliders here, or nothing but fastballs just to work on your command. I tend to think Brandon McCarthy
So again, like,
nailed that
if
one.
I look at that line and I go, all right, if I'm a Blue Jay fan, I'm grasping at straws, and I say, all right, I mean, I don't like the 2 walks and 2 2/3 innings, but I don't mind 10 hits because that means he's around the plate. He's around the plate.
Silver lining.
He scattered 10 hits, Ben, as he was working on, his mechanics and
Well, here's what
loading
John-
more and all of that.
Here's what Blue Jays manager John Schneider said yesterday. Obviously saw the line score, but heard the things we were talking about in terms of strike throwing, delivery, tempo. Velo was all positive. The rest of the stuff, you can kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, there you go.
There's really nowhere lower they can demote him if he's not doing well.
Adult league. He'd be dominant in adult league. Good Lord.
Maybe we're not too far from that. Who knows?
His physique would fit in well also in adult league.
It would.
The big boy.
Settle down. It's a shot.
No,
That's a
it's he belongs with people like me.
That is a shot.
Speaking of you,
Yeah,
Ben, that was the good. That was the bad.
Just working on his command.
Are you telling me Ryan Seacrest is ugly here?
No, I'm saying this is the jealous
Oh, it's
because
not
you
jealous.
did not get the Wheel of Fortune gig.
I thought my
don't know if you
interview
applied.
with Merv Griffin went exceedingly well.
Ryan Seacrest was chosen as the next host of Wheel of Fortune. He'll take over after this upcoming 2023-2024 season when Pat Sajak retires. Seacrest said, I'm truly humbled to be stepping into the footsteps of the legendary Pat Sajak. It's been a privilege and pure joy to watch Pat and Vanna on our television screens for an unprecedented 40 years, making us smile every night and feel right at home with them. one of my first jobs was hosting a little game show called Click for Merv Griffin 25 years ago. So this is truly a full circle moment for me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Like you said, Merv Griffin, creator of Wheel of Fortune,
I would have been
Jeopardy.
outstanding at that job. Here, Woods, pretend you're a contestant and you're buying a vowel, and I'm the host of Wheel of Fortune. Go ahead.
Ben, I'd like to buy a vowel.
What vowel would you like?
E.
E. Van, are there any E's? Perfect. Bing. I can do that job.
Bing.
I don't have many criticisms of Ben. I don't. He's my favorite.
I can do that job.
He's my favorite partner.
You don't think I could do the job?
You have
the confidence.
The confidence.
Through the roof.
I wish I had a fraction of his confidence. You really believe in yourself.
I mean, the job is gentle dad humor and word games. I mean, it's right up my alley. It's
I guess it kind of is.
Where my entire life has really been leading. Plus, I could still do this job. You know, I was going to say, how does Ryan Seacrest take on?
Well, they film a bunch.
Yeah, they do like
8.
They do like 10 in a day.
Yeah,
it's like bring a bunch of different ties and suits.
I guess Paul and I will just cover that day.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just eat one of my vacation days.
Yep.
I'm on 7th vacation to host Wheel of Fortune, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Couldn't help but think that you have another vacation planned soon, as this team, in full Thelma and Louise fashion, is driving off the cliff, and you're going to be gone for another 2 days.
Loves to do this.
Leaving Paulie and I holding the bag.
So this team, they may be playing great by then. I have no idea.
What would lead you to believe that this team would, quote, be playing great?
What would lead you to believe that they'd score 23 runs 4 days ago? I don't know. Nothing leads me to believe anything with this team anymore. Nothing at all. I think
we know how it's going to work out.
I will go back to what I said earlier, though, and I want phone calls here at the end of the show. I'm not asking whether or not you think the season's slipping away, whether you've lost faith in this team. You'd be nuts if you still had faith in this team at this point.
I feel that as well.
You'd be
the
nuts
people that
if
are
you
like,
didn't
no, we're going
see
to
the
turn it
season
around.
slipping away. It's painfully obvious. It's right in front of us. My question is, how much is it going to take for you to regain some of that faith? Because there's a lot of time. We're not even to the halfway point of the season. That's still not until after the game tomorrow. Are we even at the midway point of the season? So there is time, but it's not like you can't just win 2 games in a row and all will be right with the world. What do you need to see from this Padres team to start believing in them again? Is it just an unrelenting couple of weeks of offense? Is it a winning streak? Is it getting back to 500? Do they have to get back into the wild card position spot before you really are going to, believe in this team again? I'm not saying you're not watching the team. I'm not stopping watching the team, but what is it going to take for you to believe in them again? 833-288-0973. Because as much as you'll say, I'll never believe in this team the rest of the season, I guarantee you all have a point that if they ran off 12 wins in a row right now, and I don't think that's going to happen, but if they did, like no one thought that was going to happen with the Cincinnati Reds a couple of weeks ago either. I would guarantee that 99% of our audience would fully believe in the San Diego Padres again, coming off a 12-game win streak.
You know the worst part about all this? You know what I want more than anything? My belief back.
Is that what it takes? What's it going to take to get that belief back?
I miss that feeling, man. I miss that feeling I had last year.
833-288-0973. We'll take your phone calls coming up next after a check of traffic. Be right back here with more. Bennett Woods on 97.3 The Fan. All right, going to get out of some phone calls here. 833-288-0973. The question is not, do you think the season's slipping away, or have you lost faith in the Padres? We know you have. Question is, what is it going to take to get it back now? Now that they're 5 games under 500 with the midpoint of the season 2 days away. Give us a call. Woodsy, you saw one during the break. Just get back to the wild card race by mid-September.
Be in wild card contention mid-September, then I'll believe.
What's your take? You said you kind of held on to it there at the break. You were going to share with me what you were going to wanted to see from the team.
You know what? Honest to God, you know what I want to see right now from this team? Eyewash.
You want to see Eyewash? Yep. Will that get you back faith, though?
It will help restore some of my faith. Yeah, I want to see Eyewash. Even if it's Eyewash, I want to see it. I need it. I need to see it. I need to see that you give
sprinting out routine ground balls that they have no hope of beating out.
No, not even that per se, but more. I want to see Eyewash anger. I want to see Eyewash hustle. I want to see, and maybe it is running down
a slammed helmet or two.
Something. Give me something, man. The fan base is cannibalizing itself. They're immediately want to meet and fight each other. We're all fans of the same team here. People are losing their minds. People are writing me saying, Woodsy, I love you, and I love your show, and I appreciate what you do. I can't listen anymore. I can't. I don't want to start my day like this. Okay, I get it, man. I got off Twitter because it was messing with my mental health. Mental health is very important to me.
See, now I think we're the opposite of Twitter when it comes to mental health.
Well, I think we try to be, but again, a guy watches that game last night, and he's got to go work a job he doesn't like, and he tunes in to hear us rehashing a really poor effort. I can understand that.
Yeah, but you don't want to just stew on it on your own forever.
No, but it's.
I think we help you get it out in a good way. Watching may be frustrating, but I think we can help you work it out in a positive way.
You don't have to sell Ben and Woods to our audience.
Selling to you.
Don't sell to me. I get it.
Selling to you.
If you don't want to listen, I'm not going to force you to. All right. That being said, there are people writing me saying, I don't even want to watch today's game. I got one of my dear friends, one of my closest friends, who's one of the biggest Padre fans I ever know. You know what he told me last night? He goes, this team's unlikable. He goes, that's a problem. He goes, they're unlikable. I look at these guys and I don't like them. And I go, holy crap, dude. I got a lot of that going on myself. I want to love these guys. You know me, man. I want to beat my chest. I want to believe again. But give me some Eyewash, man. Let me know you care as much as I do. Let me know you care as much as my 5-year-old son does. Show me that. That's what, even if it's all BS, do the dance. Stop and talk to reporters after another devastating loss. Now again, the dance a little bit.
Super likable guys in the past, when Slam Diego was going on in 2020, when the playoff run was going on last year, didn't hear any likability concerns about the San Diego Padres.
Why do you think that is?
Because they were winning, and now they're losing.
And
losing is not likable.
Playing hard. They played hard down the stretch. They did. They weren't great all year, to be honest. I had a gut feeling about this team when I looked at them and I watched them every pitch of every game. I said, no, they have that. They have that.
They started to slip. Like even in September, they were slipping away. Like that playoff clinching game was in a loss. It was on a Sunday. It was just a weird vibe.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Oh, I mean,
we won, but we didn't really win because we lost
4 out of 5 or something like that. Like to get to this point.
But man, when you turned it on in New York, and then when you turned it on against LA, yes, you're winning games, but you played your asses off. You gutted it out. Joe Musgrove given the sign at the Mets, bro. That was a team that I was like, I will run into hell for you. I will fist fight somebody for you. This team, I'm like, not until you show me you care as much as I do. You care as much as Bo does. That's what I want. I want to see guys in each other's faces. I want to see guys in the other team's face. I want to see last night, Brandon Dixon gets almost taken out at first base. Where's somebody coming over to have his back?
Now, I don't want to see someone stupidly get ejected
in the
first inning.
I don't either. I'm not saying that. But I want to see fight. And I want to see that you care, right? And I want to see, again, what did I call it? I called it Eyewash because that's what it is. Just a little, man. Give me something to get me back to where I say, you're right, man. I've lost my way. I lost faith. And now you have my faith back.
Interesting. 833-288-0973. What's it going to take to get your faith back in the Padres? Ryan calling us up here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good, Ryan.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I know that's yeah, going great for everybody else, I'm sure too,
Right.
just like it is in the clubhouse. Yeah, I know you guys mentioned the Eyewash stuff, and that's hard to quantify, and it's also hard to quantify the biggest parts of this team that seem to be lacking in terms of things like fight, right, or resilience.
So hard to
because you
quantify.
can't quantify, right? You're like, oh, they're flat, right? What does that mean? And I think, Woodsy, you touched on it. As a former athlete myself, I played just briefly baseball in college, but we'd have guys on our team, go up and go 0 for 3 or strike out 3 times in a row, and it's the same consistent problems with these guys. Come in the dugout, lay the helmet on the bat rack, put the bat in, walk away. And that's okay for the first 2 at-bats or for the first 2 weeks of the season or the first 2 months of the season. And one time, I had a teammate from personal experience go up to him and get in his face and say, like, doesn't this piss you off to consistently strike out? Like, just one time, I want to see you come in and crow hop your helmet across the dugout, because it shows me that you actually care. And it's not that these guys don't care, right? But you got scenes like Billy Bean and Moneyball coming in and throwing the cooler in the clubhouse. Like, that's what losing sounds like. Or you guys mentioned getting in each other's faces or stuff like that. There was a game that stuck out to me back in 2015, coincidentally, where Matt Kemp hit a home run against the Rockies at Petco Park. I think it was right after the Rockies made like 3 errors in a row, and it led to a 3-run homer. And they flashed to Nolan Arenado when he was on the Rockies in the dugout, and he was like just losing his mind. And guys were having to calm him down. And you could tell he just cared.
Yeah,
Or if we're asking these guys like, hey, what's going on or what's wrong?
I don't know.
And I know maybe they're not obligated to tell us, right? Like, oh yeah, we're doing this or we're doing this, but it'd be nice to hear something from these guys. Like, listen, we are in the cage every day on the fastball machine because we struggle against the fastball. Or listen, we are making a concerted effort to not strike out looking with guys in scoring position. Or Trent Grisham, like, I'm just going to swing free, something to tell us that they're making a concerted effort. Because when things continue to happen over and over and over, I mean, it's Albert Einstein, right? The definition of insanity. So, and maybe they don't have to tell us, but ultimately that's what it appears to fans. And it makes us unmotivated to watch them because it doesn't look like they're making the concerted effort.
Well, if you're not going to tell us, then you have to show us. That's your 2 options. You got to tell us or you got to show us.
Trent Grisham can't go out and say, I'm coming up and I'm going to be swinging at a lot of first pitches, because you know what? That's going to get out to the other team's scouting report really fast. And Trent Grisham's going to see a lot of sliders just outside the zone on the first pitch. So you can't announce your intentions of what you're going to do. Even when you're saying, hey, we're working fastball, we are training fastball, we're looking fastball. Well, then all of a sudden you're going to get a diet of off-speed pitches from the other team. That information gets around so quickly. Maybe if you're playing
chess,
you're playing next level 3-dimensional chess.
I'm not swinging at the first pitch. I'm not going to do it for the rest of the season.
I'll be taking every first pitch the rest of the year.
Dude, just show me you care, man. Even if you're lying to me, lie to me. Tell me you want it. Tell me you want a ring. I looked around the Pirates uniforms last night, covered in dirt and mud and grass and soaking wet. Looked around the Padres, clean as a whistle. Look like me after an adult league game. I don't get dirty. I'm fat and I'm old. Okay.
And
show me.
In one game, that doesn't necessarily means that they had balls that they were closer.
And you don't have to defend them for everything.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying in one game, it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
It's not one game. It's a season of sloppy, tired, uninspired. When Fernando Tatis Jr. after the game last night came out and he goes, I mean, we hit fine. They just hit better. What? Really? You're robbing people of their joy, and you guys aren't having any fun. Have fun again. Leave it all out there tonight and see what happens. If they beat you, we can deal with it. Pottery fans are used to losing. Getting beat and beating yourself is a different thing entirely. I can handle a team that leaves it out in the field and loses. I can. I know how sports works. I know how baseball works. But to not get dirty on a ground ball to your left, to let balls go under your glove, to throw to the wrong base. Show me a little bit that you
Would
care.
you say though that's not what got the Padres to this point?
No, but I told you, I'm beyond the realm of logic.
Okay.
I want to see. You got it. I want Eyewash. Eyewash by its very nature is BS. That's where we're at now. You got to show me that you want it.
You want to see Eric Owens out there.
100%.
You want to see Mr.
Something.
Over hustle just for the sake of getting the fans excited about you.
It's such a fine line, like the caller was talking about. You can't do it after every at bat. You can't do it after every game. It grates on you. It wears thin. You know, every time if I had a bad segment, if I slammed my fist into the board, you guys would get annoyed. But like yesterday's show, I walked out here. I was like, this is a terrible show. I will be better tomorrow. And guess what? I was. So you got to tell yourself that you're bad. You got to tell yourself that you need more. You should expect more from yourself. And if every player has that mentality, this team's not going to lose a lot of ball games. They're just not. If they leave it on the field, they're not going to.
All right, what do you think?
They're too talented.
What's it going to take for the Padres to restore the faith that you had in them earlier this season? 833-288-0973. We got one segment left. More of your phone calls coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. And this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by SC Johnson Raid. Phone lines are open, 833-288-0973. What's going to take for the Padres to restore your faith here in the 2023 season? Did get this tweet. I'm going to read it on the air. I disagree with it, but I welcome all opinions. Derek says, hey, if we keep selling out every home game, there's no pressure on the Padres to do well. Fans need to show their displeasure by not showing up. If we want to make any kind of statement about our frustration, it has to impact the pocketbooks.
I mean, we're not in Oakland.
I disagree completely. Now, I think if your owner is, unwilling to spend on talent, then yes, maybe, not showing up and saying, hey, if you'll invest in our team, I'll invest in you as a fan. I can make that argument. But the players get paid no matter what.
Yeah,
you want the players to play better. Not showing up is not going to help them. In fact, if anything, I think it'd make it worse. If all of a sudden now, Petco Park's going to be half empty because the Padres aren't playing well. Either way, I mean, they've sold out their season tickets. The games are going to be full this year, regardless. Really, it'd be next year. I'd be worried about if you're the San Diego Padres.
But you got to,
to me, what you're going to display your displeasure is going to be directed. Who is that directed at? Peter Seidler. You mad at Peter Seidler? Is there anyone in San Diego who's mad at Peter Seidler?
No, but how could you blame people if this continues? How can you blame people for saying, dude, I got better ways I can spend $250?
Obviously, the team plays really badly. I'm sure they also expect fans to do other things, with a Friday night or whenever the game is.
Well, it's like I just told you. I mean, I have people in my DM saying, I can't watch tomorrow night. And I told them, I said, do yourself a favor, man. Do what's good. Do what's best for you. I'm going to watch because I'm a glutton for punishment. So I'll be watching. I'll be yelling. I'll be screaming. My faith as a fan hasn't wavered, but my faith in the current iteration of the team and its direction is absolutely wavered. Absolutely. Doesn't mean I'm not going to watch. I'm not that fan per se. But I'm a perfect example. Twitter was too much for me to handle. I got off of it. And it's saved a lot of my mental bandwidth over the last 2 months. I will admit it. I was not capable of handling myself and the reaction on Twitter. So I stopped. If watching the Padres is too much for you, if you're so invested that it's making you physically ill or scream at your kids, don't do it. Don't do it.
But if you do care so much that it's making you that sick when they're losing, then you're the diehardest fan there is. You're not a casual fan.
No.
You may say, I'm a casual fan. I go to a few games a year. If you're to the point where at 5 games under 500, the team is so frustrating to you, you want to tear your hair out that you're thinking about not watching them to preserve your mental sanity. I'm sorry to tell you, you're an absolutely hooked, obsessed Padres fan, and you've already gone down that road. So,
well, I mean, they've
got your hooks in you.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to, whether you're, whatever it is, if you're eating too much bad food, you got to cut back on the bad food. If you're drinking too much, you got to cut back on the drinking. If the Padres are wrecking your day, cut back on the Padres. Check the box score the next day, right? But yes, I work for the flagship radio station. My job is to tell you to watch the Padres and listen to the Padres. If it's too much for you, don't. There's days last night was a perfect example. As I said earlier in the show,
can't say Woods is a shill when he's actually arguing against what he's supposed to be doing.
I'm telling you,
you should be telling people you should be listening to the game no matter what.
Right, be a diehard.
They're 0-161. This might be the day though that they get that win.
It's last night.
You better be listening.
Perfect example. I talked about it in the open. Weird game time, 4:00. Right around. It's what we call crunch time in my house. The kids are out of their mind. Apparently yesterday, quick aside, they had the first meetup for Bo's new kindergarten. And I did not go because the game was at 4. The thing was at 4. I should have gone in hindsight because I need to be there for things like that. And I told my wife that. She said at one point, I turned around, I was talking to one of the moms. I turned around and Taylor, my 2-year-old, is standing at the table, the greeters table, and he's shoveling donut holes in his mouth. And I go, how many do you think?
What a jackanapes he is.
He's a little jackanape. And I go, how many do you think he had? And she goes, look at him. He came home and was like, yeah, jumping. Bo had like a little headache, and he was dropping elbows into him.
No.
And I go, oh, God. And I go, what do you think? She's like, 9? Donut holes. He looked at me. He had sugar all over his face. He's like, yeah. He was psychotic.
I love those powdered sugar ones.
These were the glazed ones.
Oh, the glazed
but he
ones,
had like the glaze around his lips.
The shiny glaze.
He's like, and he was nuts. And so usually around that time, there's that mini pushback. Hey, are you going to bathe the kids? And I'm like, we're in the 5th. We're right in the 5th inning, and I will push back a little bit. I always do it, but last night I go, yep, let's hit the showers, boys. Why? Because I didn't want to sit and watch it anymore. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was a terrible product last night.
All right, we got a few more phone calls we could run through. Your calls coming up after a last check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto Family, here's Kelly Denick.
Traffic is sponsored by Toyota of Poway. Wrapping things up with one problem. Southbound side of the 125, right before the 8, there is a collision involving a couple cars. They are over to the right shoulder. It's the start of the summer sales event at Toyota of Poway. Right now, Toyota of Poway is stocked up on all new and pre-owned Toyotas with no added dealer markup on any new Toyotas in stock, excluding hybrids. Stop by today in the heart of San Diego, toyotaofpoway.com. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Danny tweets in, both Ben and Woods are describing me eerily perfectly. The Padres absolutely have their hooks in me.
Yeah, same.
Unfortunately, she says I'm in a toxic, addictive relationship.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough right now. All right, let's go out to the phones. We got our friend Dean standing by. Dean, welcome to Ben and Woods. How are the Padres going to restore your faith, Dean?
Oh, I don't even know at this point, fellas. It's I'll tell you what they have to do. I don't think they're able to do it. I would say they really have to win, like 16 out of 20 or 18 out of 25, something that a championship caliber team is prone to do throughout the course of a season. Problem is, I do not see them doing that at any point, because any time so far this season they've had any kind of momentum, they immediately shoot themselves in the foot. And this whole season has been one step forward, 2 steps back, and that's what has been so frustrating, because it's literally just the same thing over and over. And you think they're about to turn the corner after they win that series against Tampa, and what do? They immediately go up to San Francisco and drop 3 out of 4. So that's been the biggest issue, and it just makes it so much worse. Like what you guys have been talking about, where it just seems like, where is the passion and the urgency? Because you don't see it, and it's kind of like, guys, what the hell is all this? Like, I get that, we're going to see rough stretches throughout the season, and that's what happens, but I have not seen anything that shows to me that they're capable of, going on a sustained hot streak and pulling themselves out of it, unfortunately. And that's what sucks the most.
Conversely, and I know you can't change the past, but everyone here lived through 21, and a lot of those players did too, and we're not quite there yet, but boy, this sure reeks of 2021, and that was an excruciating summer. My God. And here we are, Ben, at the end of June, and still going to be below 500 when June ends.
I think Dean made an excellent point. I think it's a great call, actually. When you look at the teams that are currently in playoff position in the NL, Braves and Diamondbacks have been pretty consistent all year. After that, the Giants sucked for a while, but then they went on a stretch that you can argue championship stretch, long winning streak. They're 13 of 15 right now.
Buys you some time.
Dodgers haven't been good all year, but they're 10 games above 500. They had a really solid stretch in May, right when they were playing the Padres. Reds were terrible early. When Padres played the Reds, they looked like one of the worst teams in baseball. They've run off 12 in a row. Until we see a stretch, and you don't have to put a number. It doesn't have to be 7 in a row. It doesn't necessarily have to be 9 of 10, but it has to be significant enough that you can say there's no championship team in baseball has ever just kind of muddled their way all the way through the season, snuck into a playoff spot, and then won the World Series. Now, there's been wild card teams with mediocre records that have won the World Series, but at some point during that year, they went on a stretch of really good play. Where
they won 4 at least. Yes. 4. We're not asking for the moon here. I'm not asking for 69 wins in a row.
They need to show us
4
a championship-like stretch, a playoff-like stretch.
Playoffs 4.
Let's go to Rich. You are next up on 97.3 The Fan. Hello, Rich.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, fam. Actually, I'd like to say thank you guys for making the mornings every day
Appreciate
so great.
it. Thank you, man.
Secondly, I want to remind everybody where the Padres were this time last year.
Yes.
We were rooting for Luke Voigt like he was the MVP. We had Eric Hosmer missing balls at first base.
We did.
Around this time, we won 5 out of 20 going into the All-Star break. And, the deadline came, and it's a totally different team. I don't think the Padres are done. We know they have to make a move. And I think we should be a little bit more optimistic than we're being.
Okay.
I'll let you guys answer on the other side.
I respect your opinion very much. I do. And you're right. He's absolutely right.
I don't say it because it makes Woods just irate when I do.
If I told you.
I mean, the Braves weren't even above 500 until August.
What did I say? What did I tell
August.
you? I told you I was going to stab you, and I can't find my pen.
That's fine.
Conveniently.
That's fine.
Paulie, I said, you throw me a pen. I'm going to stab him in his leg.
But they showed
Ricky Bobby.
They showed at some point that they were a championship type team, though.
Put that evil on us.
Ow! I really don't want to be stabbed. Yeah, not a calf. No, my precious calves.
His calf deflated.
Just pop. Not my precious calves. My one good feature. Don't attack my one good feature.
One deflated
Lloyd's
calf.
of London. I've got insured these things.
You actually should, to be honest with you. Your calves are the model for if you're building the perfect man, you would put Ben's calves on. They're actually a little too
I think
big.
the difference, though, I mean, AJ last year added Juan Soto. I mean, not that all the moves worked out perfectly. Drury, Bell, Hader, major moves that paid off in the playoffs in a run. I don't see major moves happening here.
No.
What's a major move? Ohtani? You're not going anywhere. No, I don't see the Angels trading Ohtani.
Max Scherzer for a cool $43 million.
You're not adding. I don't think you're adding a superstar making difference. I don't think you can remake the roster as much as you did last year. You've got these guys. These guys have to be the ones who turn it around, not some future unknown Padres who they're going to pick up.
Yeah.
These guys. Now, they may add a bullpen piece.
Sure.
They may add a starter, but that's not going to turn the season around.
No,
the
the
only
guys
people
that
who's going to do that are these guys who are on the team right now.
A bullpen guy's not going to walk in and they're going, oh, my God, we got Scott Barlow. The run is on. The chemistry changed when Scott got here. He just really brought a winning mentality in, and we've run the table now on this. No, while your point is a good one, where you can't really – if we are going to talk about last year where we were, we need to talk about 2021 too, where this team said, we're done. We quit. And they said, this isn't the media saying, well, it looks like they quit us. They said, we quit. We absolutely stopped. We're seeing it again. Last night was rock bottom. It better be. If I wake up this morning in Pittsburgh and I'm a San Diego Padre, I have to say to myself and my teammates, last night was rock bottom. And if we lose tonight 5-4, if we lose tonight 7-1, I'm going down hard. And I'm going down with you guys, and you're going to get my best effort today, period. Now, we may lose because it is baseball, but you're going to get everything I've got in the tank today just to win this one game. We got to win this one game and then go from there. Reassess every day, reevaluate. And you're just not seeing it out of this team. It looks like 21.
Let's get one more in here. We got time for Stan.
Stan the man.
Stan on San Diego's #1 sports station, Stan.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I just wanted to throw my little 2 cents in there. Hey, I work out of my car, so I hear the majority of the games on the radio.
Yeah.
And I love the calling by from the guys.
They're
and
awesome.
What I hear, it kind of gives you an advantage because you're not actually seeing the game and you're not getting distracted for other things.
Yes.
But you kind of hear the pitch count. Like you hear about the guys jumping on these balls, some of the opponents, they jump on the first pitch or whatever. I think back when the Padres were playing that situational ball, where that small ball, they were moving people around the bases. It feels like they're just trying to swing for the fence, or they're just trying to do too much, or they're looking forward to getting a walk. Like Manny Machado, he's awesome. And just the other day, he struck out just because he was trying to take off the first base for a walk. And
Ball's
I'm
down the
like,
middle. Yep.
You got people on base here. Put the ball out there to score some runs, and it just seems like they're not present in the moment. I see it more so than like looking at the advantage when they were playing small ball earlier in the season, or even last season. It was something. Now I have that comment. I just want to go ahead and say trades are not going to make the difference. Obviously not. But I feel like this because I'm a manager myself, and we lead from the front, and that's what I like about it. Is like, you can't expect your employees or your teammates to do something you don't even do.
100%.
So therefore, Manny Machado, Juan Soto, even Bob Melvin, I'm a little upset with him. I know he has a laid-back personality and everything, but I'm a little upset with him after hearing these interviews he does after the post-game interviews, and it just seems like he doesn't have it figured out. And as a manager, you have to have it figured out. Even if you don't, you have to present yourself and find out and saying, hey, I expect more. I want more for our team.
Stan, we're out of time. I think you're right. I think Bob Melvin has given the air of, I don't know what's going on with this team, which is tough when that's the leader. I also believe it's honest. I don't think he knows exactly what's going on because none of us do as well. And as to your point, I think you have to be ready to attack first pitches. I think 2 of 3 or all of the Padres GIDPs came on attacking the first pitch as well. So then you go, I wish you'd work the count in that case. So it works both ways. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here tomorrow, win or lose, rain or shine.
For a little bit tomorrow. We'll be here for a little bit.
We'll be at the short show tomorrow.
Thank God.
Just like it's a short wrap up today for Woodsy. I'm Ben, Coach Next here on 97.3 The Fan.